Good morning. I hope you are taking it slow today. It's Friday. Thank goodness. I'm Justine Fraser, filling in for the best, Mr. Mike Farwell. I don't know who let me in here, but somebody did. As he takes another day off, I don't know what he's doing. He's an important person doing important things. I at least assume it's important. We also need your song request today, so that way I don't have to choose, because if I have to choose, I don't know what you're getting. Call in today and request a song you want to listen to. I'm looking for something fun, something to get everyone in a good mood on this very sunny Friday. Call in, tell Jen, our lovely board up, what you want to hear. Call 519-570-2545. And since Mike's not here, you get me today on this cheery Friday morning. I'm here. I'm going to start you off with a fun Friday morning story. And as I tell you this story, I hope it brings up a fun memory of yours that you want to call in and share with us. It could be something fun, something just plain strange that you did or that happened to you over the summer break. You know, it's only September 12th. People are acting like the summer just like completely shut down, forgot about it, moved on. I don't have any kids personally, so when September rolls around, I don't really notice the switch the way other people do. So anyways, the story, this summer, I had the honor of saving a bird. It happened on the same day that I broke my foot for the first time. I know. If you're wondering how, well, I was having a lovely Saturday morning going shopping at the Kitchener's Farmers Market right downtown there. And we went to the bodega across the street for sandwiches. You know, this is in no way a slight at the EB Street bodega. If you know, you know, those sandwiches are awesome. But, you know, we ordered, I did my thing. I was on the cement stairs talking to a guy, and I fell. I fell right to the ground, splat. And there went my foot. Luckily, I did bounce up quick, but after sitting and eating that sandwich, we kind of watched as my foot got more and more swollen. And the bump got larger and larger, and I was like, I don't think that's normal. I don't think this is like a rub some dirt on it moment. As much as my dad has taught me, just rub some dirt on it, I don't think that was going to help me. So we decided not to walk home, called an Uber, and left. And, you know, I was resting my foot in the living room, doing my thing. And luckily, I think my dad had just picked up the dog or something, because I have this giant white dog, and none of this would have happened if he was in the room. But yeah, I was sitting there in the living room, and then I heard this little chirp, chirp, chirp right on the balcony. It probably actually sounded a lot cuter than that, like chirp, chirp, chirp. But, you know, sitting right on the balcony door, wide open. And the thing about me, you should know, my patio full of plants, like so many plants. So I think that probably is why the bird chose my patio. I don't think I'm just like some lucky ducky that the bird is like, oh, I like her. No, it was like, this looks tropical. I like it here. I'm going to stay here. So the most beautiful small little bird, he's like green, red, orange. I don't know. I think his beak was like red, actually. And he had a lot of little yellow tints on him. He was so cute. He was just sitting there chirping at me. So I chirped back at him with my foot elevated, busted, just in pain, just chirping at this bird. And then the guy I was dating was just like, I think that's someone's pet. And I was like, I think so too. And we were like debating, do we catch the bird? But I'm like, I have a broken foot. I can't move. So we just kind of, I don't know. I think we just sat there for a couple minutes and waited to see what it would do. And then all of a sudden it flew right into the apartment, because of course I had my door wide open, the patio door, flew right in, landed on my head, and was just so comfortable chirping on the top of my head that I was like kind of freaking out. I was like, I'm a dog person. I don't know how to tell this bird I'm a dog person. You flap your tiny little beautiful wings at me and I just freak out. I don't know. Personally, birds flapping their wings when they're coming at you, it's kind of freaky, right? So yeah, he loved perching right on our arms. He would fly around the apartment trying to claim it. So we kind of figured we should probably do something about this. And we contacted the manager of the building. They came. I think they mostly just came to make sure there was a bird, to be honest with you. I think they thought I was crazy and lying. I don't think Anna at all thought there was a bird in my apartment. So they checked the portal, and luckily someone did report a missing bird in my building. And strangely enough, they were all the way on the 31st floor. I was on the 5th. I have no idea how this bird made it all the way down to my apartment. Bizarre. But yeah, so we met them in the lobby. They came down through the elevator, and the bird, I think, was clinging onto my hair at the time. I don't know. It was really strange. And yeah, it was a sweet little reunion, though. I'll never forget it. The minute the elevator door opened, the bird was chirping, and the girl was just like, oh, I hear him. I hear him. I hear him. And she just started crying these tears of relief. She was like, oh, I was looking everywhere for him. Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you. Thank you. You know, she asked me why I was sitting in a computer chair and not standing. And, you know, she was like, oh, that's really interesting that you broke your foot. I'm like, yeah. Well, still managed to save your bird. And, you know, strangely enough, you know, because they were all the way up the top floor, I asked, how did the bird get out? She said she had no idea. No windows were open. The door wasn't open. You know, her husband was with her at this time, though, and he didn't say one word to me. He did not seem very grateful. He definitely did not say thank you. If you ask me, I think I know what happened. And that's all I'm going to say on that. So that's my Funny Friday story for you. Call in. Tell us a strange, funny story that happened to you this summer. I want to hear it. Is it your bird I found? Please call in and tell me. I need to know. And you can call us today at 519-570-2545. We are looking also for fun Friday songs to uplift us. Call in and let us know what you want to hear. And on the show today, we have some exciting guests for you. We are talking to a local advocate that doesn't like the speed cameras that have been installed around the region. They actually did send a letter just this August to the premier and to the region of Waterloo, calling it a cash grab. That was actually just before this week when Ford himself also kind of said that it was a tax grab. And he did call on the municipalities to remove them, or he's maybe going to do it for them.
They should take out those cameras, all of them. If you want to slow down traffic at school, you put the big, huge signs, big flashing lights, crossing area, people will slow down. This is nothing but a tax grab. I've driven by speed traps aren't even close to school areas. It's nothing but a tax grab.
That was Premier Ford, some of what he said there. And he's been very vocal, and I got to be honest, he's been a bit fun to watch lately. I'm having a bit too much fun watching our Premier. And, you know, is that good politics? I got to be honest, I don't know. We're going to talk about that a bit later on the Friday 4 panel at 11 a.m. We also have an investigative journalist and a local author, Greg Mercer, coming on soon at 10 a.m. He's going to chat about his new book that chronicles his work over the years as he explores the dying and sometimes dangerous lobster fishing industry. And, you know, people are watching their wallets lately, so we're going to have to talk about money again. And no matter what, you all are still finding the money to purchase pumpkin spice lattes. The numbers are a little bit shocking, and we have more on that with a professor at 10:30 today. And were you feeling the heat this summer? I think we all felt the heat this summer. It was actually recorded as one of the hottest on records in Waterloo region. I think it was in about 70 years. And yeah, so how did these crops here do? Like what survived? What did well in temperatures like that, especially with it dropping very quickly overnight? You know, it's been very cold. I mean, it's starting to get hot this week. I don't know. The temperature is wild and confusing right now. You know, we have the president of the Waterloo Federation of Agriculture coming on at noon, and he's going to tell us a bit more about that and, you know, what you can expect to buy as the harvest season comes around. And, you know, we also have the Talkback Hour right after that where you get your say and let us know what's bugging you, or if we maybe did do something to bug you today. Let us know. earlier in the week, I apparently failed as Mike Farwell's producer and did not take Rob Deutschman's request. So I'm playing it now. That song has also been stuck in my head basically since that moment. I don't know. It's really disturbed me, I guess. And now I'm just singing Satisfaction all day long, which isn't a bad thing. And, if you missed it, I'm Justine Fraser. I am filling in for Mike Farwell today. I know you're like, that is not Mike's voice. No, it is not. And if you want to call in today, you can chat with me at 519-570-2545 and let me know what's bothering you. We did have a pretty heated debate yesterday during the Talkback Hour about Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I think President Trump has announced that they have the person they think did it in custody. So we're going to maybe see if more develops on that as we go today. Some hot topics on the table right now. The mayor of Barrie, Alex Nuttall, declared the encampments in that city a state of emergency this week. They say they want the people in those encampments to get the help offered or basically find somewhere else to pitch a tent. Another thing making headlines to think about as you sip on your morning coffee, wherever you may be. Maybe it is tea you drink, maybe a pumpkin spice latte. I won't judge. The U.S. president has declared that the suspect who may have killed Charlie Kirk this week is in custody, and we're going to follow along with that today. And then third on the topic list is Prime Minister Mark Carney sharing his first batch of major projects in an announcement made yesterday in Edmonton. Here's some of what he said.
First, LNG Canada Phase 2, its expansion in northern British Columbia. This will directly help transform our country into an energy superpower. This project will double LNG Canada's production capacity and make it the second largest liquefied natural gas facility of its kind in the world. Second project is the Darlington New Nuclear Phase 1. It will drive $500 million annually, every year, into Ontario's nuclear supply chain. These projects will be at the heart of our new comprehensive Buy Canadian policy. Because to strengthen Canada's independence, our resilience, our security, we will build with Canadian steel, Canadian lumber, Canadian aluminum, and by Canadian tradespeople and engineers.
That was the Prime Minister, Mark Carney. He was making an announcement in Edmonton. Those projects are intended to help boost and strengthen the Canadian economy, and it's supposed to help us deal with the ongoing tariffs from the United States. Some of the other premiers have spoken out, like the one in BC. He's very excited about having, BC be part of those major announcements. So I guess we're going to see what happens there. The only one who really seemed upset about the announcement was Pierre Poilievre, but, not super surprising there. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, you can head over to Main Street in Guelph on Saturday. Guelph Jazz is actually putting together a fundraiser. I'm just going to give them a little shout out right now. It's a community day in support of United Way. That's this Saturday. They're popping up on Main Street, downtown Cambridge, with a couple hours of live music, activities for the whole fam, blow up bouncy castle, and, take in some good tunes. And, if you happen to already be in Guelph maybe yesterday, you might have gotten a very interesting photo or seen somebody very famous walking around, perhaps at the Mule. Well, you might have saw Justin and Hailey Bieber. They made an appearance on Main Street. They took some photos with fans. It can be seen on Instagram. They were spotted at the Mule taking some photos. I have to be honest with you, Hailey Bieber, super instantly recognizable. I look at Justin Bieber and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know who that is. I don't know. He just looks so different to me now. But, good for them for coming over and supporting from where Justin Bieber came from. It's been a while, I think, since we've had a Justin Bieber sighting. I can't remember the last time anybody actually reported seeing Justin Bieber over here. I think they still own that mansion. And to see them choose the Mule instead of some really fancy, schmancy establishment, I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. They just want some really good tacos. And so we're going to start off by talking about Ford and speed cameras today with our first guest. So Ford has been making a lot of headlines lately. The latest was to talk about speed cameras after a whole bunch were vandalized over in Toronto. And yes, I say Toronto like that. I'm from there. I don't know. It's hard to say whether or not Premier Ford should be speaking out all the time as much as he does, because sometimes it doesn't feel like he's getting, I want to say, all the facts before he's just speaking. You know, this feels like a municipality, like each municipality probably has to deal with this one on their own to me, but maybe it is a provincial issue. I don't know. What do you think? I personally have not gotten a ticket yet. I'm a good driver. I go very slow in those school zones. I do not speed. I actually haven't heard of anyone getting any of these tickets, but I know that they can definitely rack up. I think the highest one was about $2,000 that was reported. And yeah, I've seen signs that more are coming in the areas I live in. So fingers crossed that that still doesn't happen. I have to be honest, I do agree with Ford that flashing lights are a good idea. Just wake people up a bit. Like, you know, a speed camera is not going to wake people up. It's just going to ticket them. Like, if you want to wake people up, like, let's, like, put something there. A loud horn plays every time you drive by. Just something that's just waking people up. Because I think the problem is that everyone's just maybe too tired when they're driving in these school zones or something. And I'm not going to lie, I've been in Cambridge a lot lately, and the amount of people speeding in the suburban areas I'm in is ridiculous. I'm walking with my dogs. Please let me cross the street. Do not try to speed through it before I cross. That's not nice. Then there's the congestion. So many lanes on Hespeler, it just, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if it's the Kitchener in me, but all I'm saying is I think Cambridge could really use some more roundabouts. And I know you're going to call in it and give me some heat for that, so feel free. You know, maybe they do need an LRT system. That way I don't have to drive over there anymore. Just saying. We're going to take a quick break. This is 570 News Radio. I'm Justine Fraser, filling in for Mike Farwell. You're listening to 570 News Radio. I'm Justine Fraser. No, I'm not Mike Farwell. If I sound like Mike, I don't know. One of us needs to get that checked out. But I do get the wonderful opportunity each beautiful day to help produce this show. And today, the mic is mine. Jen was supposed to play me a clip.
Today I'm announcing that I've declared a state of emergency in the city of Barrie, as I requested the former administration to do. While we wait for the county's long-term plan to be implemented, the city of Barrie is immediately instituting the state of emergency to reclaim our streets, our boulevards, our parks, our squares, our feeling of safety, and our order. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm taking it up. And I'm just paranoid like the sun.
That was the mayor of Barrie. It seems encampments are being set up along suburban boulevards, sidewalks, and they're getting pretty fed up over there. The mayor of Barrie, Alex Nuttall, says there's also complaints of open drug use, and that's happening right in front of people's homes, I guess, quite frequently. I guess it's like, you know, if you live on a suburban street, I did see some videos of interviews, and they are setting up right in front of people's homes, just tent after tent after tent. It's not what it's like over here where they're just in a giant encampment. It's a little different. And they did have a double homicide investigation in one of those encampments recently, and it was torn down since. But, you know, is this too far to declare a state of emergency? Mayor Nuttall also said over half the individuals aren't even from there or that county. So I got to ask, like, who are they and where are they from and where are they going to go now? Because it's basically like you get help or you leave. I guess that's the message over there, which a little strange. It's different than what we're doing. And, you know, what about what is going on if people start setting up tents on suburban sidewalks and grassy boulevards over here in front of homes? Would we do the same thing? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Call into the Mike Farwell Show, 519-570-2545. I'm Justine Fraser, filling in for the fancy and wonderful Mr. Mike Farwell. If I had to guess, I would say he's probably riding a motorcycle somewhere, doing something super fun. At least that's what I like to imagine he's doing. And on the phone today, we have Safari.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Good morning there. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I was driving and I heard in the parking lot that you said you can talk what bothers you guys, right?
Yes, as long as it's something, we actually want to listen to. What's bugging you?
Okay, so I parked the bus. I'm driving school bus part-time.
Mm-hmm.
I just park. I'm sure if my boss hear me, he's not going to bother me for 1 or 2 minutes. I can talk to you guys. So we live in a great country, Canada, right? And we always talk about human rights, about,
Mm-hmm.
democracy, everything. But what bothered me, right?
Mm-hmm.
What bothered me, a teacher working so hard for our kids. I know many teachers, they can't even afford to buy a house. And they work so hard. I know that. And then you go to a dentist for 1 hour root canal, for example. They charge you $1,500. Oh, don't worry. The insurance will cover the rest, but you just pay $400. But they work on your teeth for 1 hour, 20 minutes. This has to change. You know what I mean?
Yes, I think I see your point there.
This has to change.
I think you want more money in the hands of different people is what you're saying.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're not putting diamond in somebody's teeth. You just doing root canal, but $1,400 you charge for 1 hour, 20 minutes.
I have to be honest.
Is it fair?
People are actually putting diamonds in their teeth. I have a friend that did that. Apparently that's a real thing.
But they didn't put the diamond in the teeth, right? They just do the root canal. I give you an example. But I know teachers, I'm working, taking kids to school. We're getting, $22 an hour? Right? I don't know. The world is fair.
Yes, I hear what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Of course, I could make the same complaints, so I hear you.
Yeah, but I care about the teachers because teachers, they change the world. They change your kids, but they can't even afford to buy a house. The world is so unfair, you know what I mean? But this, things has to change. There has to be some rules, Mm-hmm. Have a good day, guys. Take care.
You too. Have a good day, Safari. Thank you for calling in. And, it's some good points made there. He just wants to kind of see the teachers get the money they deserve, I guess. He feels it's very unfair as a bus driver, and he watches them do a lot for your kids. You can have your say, too. You can call in today at 519-570-2545. I'm Justine Fraser. I'm filling in for Mike Farwell. I'm also his producer, though, so feel free to throw things at me. I like to think I know what's going on since I book everything for this show. And we're going to take a quick little commercial break here, but stay tuned because when we come back, we have a community advocate that says that speed cameras are straining already stretched family budgets. This is 570 News Radio. We have Wipeout by the Surferys. I'm Justine Fraser, filling in for the wonderful Mike Farwell on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. We have a community advocate and the founder of Ontario Landlords Watch on the line, Kayla Andrade. Kayla, how's it going?
Yep. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy you got to join me today, and you get to be the first person I interview on this show.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? Exciting.
We're putting this in the books.
It feels like it. And, Kayla, do you want to just kind of say that everything you're saying today is kind of from a community advocate kind of perspective then?
Yeah, today's topic is definitely from a community advocate and a taxpayer in the city of Cambridge.
And Kayla, you wrote a letter recently to the region and to the premier about speed cameras. Can you share a bit about what you wrote in that letter for us?
Of course, definitely. I obviously posted it on my Facebook page there for everybody to read, but I'll be able to kind of give it to you in a nutshell. I was calling on for the region and for the Premier Ford to remove the automated speed enforcement cameras, explaining that I feel, and a lot of people are feeling, that it's a cash grab on the backs of the already struggling families, and it's time for the province to step in and put an end to this unfair practice. The reason why, from rolling out the speed cameras, it has created confusion, inconsistencies, and unnecessary financial hardship. The speed limits were dropped from 40 to 30, and there's also areas in which are dropping from 50 to 40. And these cameras were being quietly installed. And when I say quietly, is because we put like a sign up there letting the people know, hey, a speed camera is coming, and then all of a sudden there's a speed camera in use. So it really is bringing a lot of confusion to when they are quietly being installed. And many drivers are unaware of the change until the fine is in the mailbox, and that we're seeing inconsistencies between 30 when flashing or 40 when flashing, while other areas are being enforced 24/7, even when schools are even not in play there. So the standardization is a very dangerous and misleading, which is instead making our drivers glued to their speedometers and fearful of exceeding the limits by 1 single kilometer. So we're trying to be like, all the people are like, hey, you should be paying attention to your road. But at the same time, it's really difficult trying to do that going down a hill. So that was like the initial kind of like, this is what our upset is about it. And we know that there is a lot of different ways for us to bring in that safety that is very much needed in some of these areas, such as speed bumps, flashing lights, even crossing guards that obviously have been taken away over the years. But those measures do not generate revenue. Cameras do.
Yeah. And, you had some very good points made there. And, as a community advocate, some of the main issues you did mention were kind of about just the strain on families as, they kind of try to find money for everything right now. Can you speak to that a little bit about how, like a ticket or maybe a couple tickets like this for, someone who has to drop their kids off regularly might affect them?
This consequences are devastating to that single mom or that single dad that's already choosing between rent and their groceries right now. Their ticket could even result into them ending up in our food bank simply because they drove 41 in a newly rezoned 30, punishing these struggling families. For an example, if you have a ticket, like you can have a speed limit of 45 in a 30 zone, that ticket price is $75, and they always charge a victim component that will fluctuate based on how fast you were going, and then they charge a plate lookup fee of $8.25 each and every single time. So having a bill approximately of like $98.25 because someone did a 45 and a 30, this is where we're seeing a lot of families that are struggling, and we're going to see that through online when people are being vocal, and you can see what's happening where cameras are being taken down because of these people who are struggling.
Yeah, I think it was about 30 of them got vandalized in Toronto there. I don't know the exact time frame for that, but I don't think we've had any super vandalized like that over here. But do you think that's going to get to that point? Do you see maybe people taking matters into their own hands?
I think they are taking matters into their own hands, and it's unfortunate that, we have our police, wanting to incorporate an investigation on these people taking down their cameras. Like, we're wasting police services now just because we need them to track down the individuals who are trying to take down these cameras. Meanwhile, these cameras is not a point of needing them within our community. It's almost like we had no support, and we do have some city councilors starting to speak up against them because they know that sometimes when they get these fees and these tickets that are in the mail, it doesn't fit, the consequence doesn't fit the crime. And people are getting very excessive type of tickets that need to be relooked at. So and again, they would say on the back of these little tickets that Kitchener Provincial Offence Court can go through this. You can appeal it, and you can appeal it within 30 days. And if you don't show up to that appeal, you're going to be charged an additional $60. hours. So again, it's a moneymaker. They made a business out of this. We like to say, like, there's about the maintaining of repairing these cameras that are being taken down. I also like to see how are they keeping the checks and the balances in place to make sure that these cameras are properly collaborated and that you're able to look for any errors that are occurring to make sure people are not being overbilled. And again, what happens when they're sliding down that hill? Are they getting a ticket as they're sliding down at the same time? So our municipalities know how to slow the traffic. They have speed bumps that are being put up in Hespeler. You know, we have flashing light. I want to see more crossing guards in there. But at what point in time does our government come right out and say, we don't want you driving at all, park your car and ride a bike? Because that's exactly how we feel right now when an electric bike can legitimately go over the speed limit of 30.
Yes, and there's been some calls for transparency from regional council about the speed thresholds and, the determination of who gets a ticket and who doesn't, because listening to a council meeting, it seems like it's kind of, their purview, whatever they kind of want to do with it, right? Would you like to see more transparency there?
100%, very much 100%. I think it's all about timing as well. When there is a situation, no matter which topic they're bringing to council, when does media get word of it? When does it come across the wire where other people get to be aware of it? And do they have that time in order to come there to speak what they feel is the freedom of speech to try to figure out how to have their voices heard, or is it too late? Do they already have their mind made up? And this is just them putting us on notice that it's happening just because we had very little people telling us that there is people speeding that area. I don't think we want anything happening to our children. I don't want people thinking anything. I have 4 children myself. I watched the way the schools are, where they were positioned. I think a lot of it came down to poor planning in that regard, where there's no parking for parents to even drop off their children. And based on the traffic that we see of people dropping off their children, we can't even get to 30. But at the same time, them changing the kilometers to 30 and making it all the time, we have a problem.
And, you sent a letter to the premier, and just this week, he did actually kind of agree with you and called it a tax grab and kind of asked municipalities to try and scrap that program. Like, how did that make you feel? Do you feel like he maybe actually read your letter?
I would hope so. And I think I did this quietly. I know there's people coming to me and they're like, Kayla, we want you to speak up against the speed cameras. And I'm like, oh, I want to speak up the speed cameras because I'm always very much about housing at the moment. And then once I seen it on TikTok of what Mr. Ford had came out to say, I'm like, wow. Okay. Maybe I'm not crazy. I'll definitely share this letter with everyone, and everyone's been sharing it and liking it. So definitely thank you to everyone who agrees with me. And this is what it's like when the community comes together and tries to bring some common sense to our elected officials.
Yeah. And, it's really nice to actually see that, maybe Ford did actually side with like the normal person's perspective, right?
Well, let's see if he wants to sit down and talk about housing and how to fix it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we all want to talk to him about a bunch of things. There's like a bucket list at this point.
But hey, I'll take one.
Right.
No problem. But hey, we got to see him come through now.
Yeah, let's see, right? Like, because he kind of just says, I'll do it for you if you don't do it. And he's said that a few times now. So he's got to do something if he's going to say that, right?
Oh yeah, he better have his bark better be as his bite, right? So, and you don't want to be looking silly in front of everybody, going back on your words, and no one likes a flip-flop politician.
Yeah, and Kayla, I'm going to throw a few numbers at you that you've probably already heard, but the region handed out about 55,000 tickets since this program was brought online just in February. And, there's about, I think, 16 operating, 11 more coming this fall. And I read somewhere they had four on rotation last year, and they made about $1.6 million rotating those 4. So, why did we need to increase them, to so many different cameras, right? Do you think this is too many speed cameras?
It's Big Brother watching. I think we have to understand that it's about teaching our young. My son is 16. I'm teaching him read the book, making sure you're staying to the cameras, and teaching them how to do it. Because in the book in itself, it tells you a school zone, it's 40. In other areas, and 50, unless posted otherwise. Like it's such consistency. When they start messing things around just to make this type of money and wondering where this money is going, I like to know, like, where is the victim component? Where is that money going? The money that comes from the plate lookup. Don't tell me it's our roads, because I'm telling you, like, we have our tax base for that part of it. So it is a cash grab. The money's there. They made it very, very quickly. Now, can you imagine if they actually put that type of money into housing? Hey, but I definitely see the money being made here, and that's why they're coming out to say this is not a cash grab. It's working. People are slowing down. I was like, they're avoiding the areas. Like they have apps telling people how to avoid these areas, and now they're just bringing traffic to areas that we're not expecting traffic.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, Ford did also mention something about maybe try something else. Flashing lights, more stop signs. I think you even said add more crossing guards at one point here. Like, there are other solutions other than speed cameras. Like, would you like to see flashing lights? Do you think something like that would help more?
Well, I think they put these solar panel lights that are there trying to let people have their speed, and it does flash. I think they also work. The speed bumps, I believe, are also something that can slow down the traffic. And at the same time, we've seen it time and time again over the years, where even at a crossing light or just a four-way stop, we've seen a decrease in our crossing guards. I don't know it's because we can't afford it. I don't know if it's because we don't have people that can take those positions in such a part-time basis. But we do need to put more support into hiring these type of crossing guards and giving them better salaries in order to make it appealing to them if that's the case. But I do feel that we can do something better that's more hands-on with people there, not just thinking that you're stopping people from speeding. They're just avoiding the area altogether.
Fair enough. And, thank you for your advocacy, Kayla, and talking out about this issue, because not many people really kind of want to put themselves out there, right?
No, they don't. And if you knew me back in the day, I wouldn't be doing this. But when something like this is happening and we do have people that are afraid to speak up, I want to make sure that I have their voices heard. And I do thank you for having me on and being able to talk about this topic, because I think it's very important to encourage other people to speak up against elected officials, no matter what level of government, because sometimes they do listen.
Yeah, I like to think they're listening. Every once in a while, we do get a mayor that randomly calls in, or a council member, so they are listening. And you know what? Thank you, Kayla, for taking some time to be on the show today. I'm going to let you go, but we're going to keep this conversation going, I'm sure.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for having me, and you have my number. Call me anytime.
Perfect. Thank you, Kayla. That was Kayla Andrade. She is the founder of Ontario Landlords Watch and a large community advocate. We're going to take a quick break to pay some bills over here. This is the Mike Farwell Show. I'm Justine Fraser, filling in on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Having a bill approximately of like $98.25 because someone did a 45 and a 30, this is where we're seeing a lot of families that are struggling. And we're going to see that through online when people are being vocal, and you can see what's happening where cameras are being taken down because of these people who are struggling.
That was Kayla Andrade, the founder of Ontario Landlords Watch and a community advocate. She was just on to talk about a letter that she sent to the region of Waterloo and Premier Ford about speed cameras. We have some callers on the line, and they kind of want to talk about speed cameras too. Ryan, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. What's going on?
Not much. I just heard the last guest you had on. I love hearing that stuff, someone who's being an advocate for the community. And I couldn't agree with her more of a cash grab. But I want to take a look at something from a bigger point of view.
Sure.
They created a solution to a problem that didn't even exist. And you have to ask yourself, why would they do that? Well, I guess cash grab certainly comes into play. But it also seems to, the ad I heard just before I hopped on, is there's actually a company telling us that the kids might not have any road safety. So we should be extra careful. Okay, absolutely, good message. But where's our accountability? It's my accountability to make sure my kid is paying attention, not anyone else's. And I feel as though it's the tail wagging the dog, and I've said this several times before.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. Like, it feels like the problem kind of just popped out of nowhere. I'm not totally sure who asked for all these speed cameras. I didn't.
You know what? And parallel that, who asked for the bike lanes? I mean, I don't remember having a vote for that either. And you know what? It's fun sitting at one red light for 4 red light cycles for the sake of climate change. Idling is worse than driving. So, again, waking the dog. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Anyways,
good point there, Ryan.
The last guest, man. She was awesome.
Awesome. Well, you have a good day, Ryan, and thanks for the call.
You too. Cheers.
And so, the average cost of a ticket handed out by the region of Waterloo through those speed camera programs is ranging at about $108. And on record, one ticket was more than $2,000. And, if you want to call in and talk to us right now, the number for that is 519-570-2545. We are also actually looking for song requests today. Please call in and let Jen, my lovely board op, know what you want to listen to uplift people this Friday. Because since that seems to be maybe the theme we're going to try to uplift each other on this beautiful sunny day. And we have Sean on the phone. Sean, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good, thanks. Yeah, the whole speed camera thing, it's sort of a failure by, I think, to build our roads properly. It's like you look at Dundas Street in Cambridge. They want to put a speed camera in front of the school there. Well, the road's like a 4-lane highway, so of course people are going to drive fast. I mean, it is what it is. But then you have Councillor Jim Erb didn't exactly help the situation. He said, I read an article in the Record on September the 10th. He says, not only are we slowing down speeding in the community, we're creating a revenue source that is non-levy funded. Non-levy funded. I mean, so right there, he's saying, yes, it is a cash grab. Like that is his words. It's a non-levy funded revenue source. That's really not helping the situation, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In his own words.
Yeah. No, it's a good point there. It's I think it's something that needs more transparency. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think we do. And and if that guy got, like somebody said, a over $2,000 fine, that means he was going like 170 clicks at least. So something like that does sort of deserve penalties. But
yeah. Well, that's a good question too, right? Like, at what point do we actually get the police involved and not just hand over a ticket, right?
Yeah, like I think a lot of this is caused by poor road design, and instead of just slapping cameras everywhere, we need to look at the way our roads are actually built.
Fair enough. And did you have any other points for me there, Sean?
Nope. I'm just thinking the councillors shouldn't be pointing out that it's a source of revenue and making it sound like a cash grab, and we need to actually fix things instead of just slapping cameras everywhere.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't think you're alone on that one. But, we got 11 more coming this fall, so we'll see what happens. Thank you, Sean, for your time today.
Okay.
And, if you guys want to call in, and we are still looking for song requests, that number again is 519-570-2545. We're going to take one more caller. I'm going to sneak Julie in. Julie, how's it going?
It's good. How are you?
Good. Are the speed cameras bugging you?
No, not at all.
Oh, perfect.
I think what's actually bugging me is people worried about the speed cameras, because if you're not speeding, you don't have to worry about the speed cameras. And your guest this morning, I mean, where I appreciate community advocates, I just think this is the thing that you want to advocate for, people speeding in school zones. Like, and some of your callers might be right. Maybe the system isn't perfect. Maybe the road design isn't good. Maybe schools aren't in places where they should be. And maybe kids aren't as street smart as they should be. But that doesn't negate trying to reduce speed in school zones. And some of the logic behind, getting a fine means that people can't eat. Then don't speed in the zones. It's simple.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that this is actually even an issue. And a cash grab, whatever. What isn't a cash grab? Liquor is a cash grab for the province. Everything is a cash grab. So don't break the law, don't drink the liquor, and you don't have to pay the fine.
Yeah, that's an interesting point there. Yeah, there's a few different things that are a cash grab. If we're going to point this out, what else are we not going to point at? That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Julie. I got to take a quick commercial break to pay some bills, but you have a good day there. And, you guys are listening to 570 News Radio, the Mike Farwell Show. I'm Justine Fraser filling in. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Jackie Wilson's Higher and Higher. Thank you, Nate, for that song request. I actually was dancing a little bit in the studio. That was hard not to bounce around a little bit, too. We have our next guest on the line. Greg Mercer is a author in Guelph and an investigative journalist for the Globe and Mail. Greg, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Somebody let me run this show for the day, and I don't know why, but it's been super fun so far.
Well, I'm glad to have you and be talking to you.
Yeah.
So
and Greg, you live in Guelph over there, so we're going to call you a local author. And you wrote a book called The Lobster Trap: The Global Fight for Seafood on the Brink. And did it officially launch or come out for sale on Wednesday? Am I right?
It actually launched at the end of August, and we had a book launch, like a celebration in Guelph this week. So we're just kind of getting started, but it's been an exciting times. We're really getting into it now.
Yeah, and so it seems like this was years in the making. A lot of investigative work definitely went into this. Tell me a little bit about where the inspiration or the idea itself came from.
Well, it's really good to talk to you because I covered Waterloo Region for about 12 years with the Waterloo Region Record newspaper, so I know the region well and think very fondly of it. I think it was there at the Record that I kind of got the idea that I'd love a long journalism on a big, complicated story, and then lobster seemed to be it. And it just seemed like a story that kind of had everything. We've never fought more over lobster. We've never been more worried about its future. There's a lot of money tied up in it. There's no seafood that's worth more to this country than lobster is. And as the ocean changes and as we overfish, there are a lot of people worried that this may not last. And that's sort of the question I'm trying to ask with the book, The Lobster Trap.
And so tell me, where does the book start? Where does it begin? What will people read when they tune in?
The first thing they're going to read is the prologue where I'm going out to sea in late November in a wild storm with some fishermen in New Brunswick, and I am violently seasick. So they're going to hopefully glimpse what it's like to be a lobster fisherman at sea. And it was eye-opening for me. I grew up on the East Coast and on the water, but I'd never experienced conditions like that. And it really gave me a lot of respect for the work these folks do. It's incredibly dangerous. And so when you see those lobster in a tank in the grocery store, it helps to understand a lot of work went into bringing them to us. And folks risked their lives, really, to bring them from the ocean to our table.
Yeah. And, I guess that maybe explains my next question, which is why lobsters? Like, why is lobsters what you wanted to pursue as an investigative journalist, Greg?
I just think it's a fascinating story. So I really got into this about 5 years ago when there was a big fight in Nova Scotia between the Indigenous fishermen and the commercial fishermen. And the Indigenous folks started their own fishery outside of the federal system, saying, you can't tell us when to fish, you can't license us, we're going to fish when and how we want. And we had angry mobs burning warehouses on the water. We had people shooting at boats and burning boats. And, the BRCMP had to come in and bring some peace to the waterfront. And I was sent as a reporter to write about that. And it kind of got me thinking, why are we so worked up about lobsters? And there are a lot of them in the sea. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized that, no, actually people are very worried about the future of this fishery. And this great lobster boom that we've been enjoying in Canada is actually on the tail end, and it's declining. And so people are very worried about where it's all going.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I personally don't eat a lot of lobster, so I don't know that it's declining to the rate that you have mentioned there. Would you be able to speak to like how fast you think it's declining based off your research there?
I mean, if you talk to some fishermen on the southern part of our Canadian fishery, like the catch this year is down like 30 to 40% what it was last year. And those are concerning numbers. That it really peaked almost 10 years ago, and that we're now seeing a big decline. Someone in Newfoundland, in the northern part of where we catch lobster, are really enjoying a great boom in lobster. But what's happening is as the ocean warms, lobster are essentially moving north. And so if you're in the southern part of the fishery, that's really bad news. And it means you might have to start looking for a new way to earn a living. And for communities that have built their entire economy around lobster, that's very, very concerning.
Yeah, and you must have interviewed quite a few fishermen for the book. What were some of the stories you heard? Like, did they kind of keep telling you the same thing over and over again?
Yeah, I was surprised at how many of them admitted to me they're very worried, and they admit like we are overfishing, but they said we can't afford to stop because we're so indebted because we spent $1 million to buy our boat and almost $1 million to buy a license. They're very worried about the indigenous fishery as it's growing. They see it as a real threat to their livelihood. The indigenous folks say, hey, this is our treaty right. We have a right that stems from before Canada was a country to fish lobster. So there's two very different ways to look at that. But yeah, there's just a lot of concern. And a lot of fishermen told me, like, we love this. This is who we are. This is a way of life. But we're worried our kids may not be able to fish lobster in the same way that we do.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to probably, change, right, from generation to generation if they can't find any more of them in the ocean there. And
well, this is it. If you go to, like, New England, it's completely collapsed in places like Connecticut and Rhode Island and like Cape Cod. And this used to be the heart of the lobster fishery in North America. And that's only a couple of decades ago. So it's changing very quickly. And I think as a country, we ought to pay attention when we see these kind of major shifts happening to natural food sources like this.
Yeah. And, how in danger are they? Like, is this going to happen in the next couple of decades, you think, if we don't do anything?
I mean, the short answer is we don't know. It all depends how quickly the ocean warms. It all depends on whether or not we can pull back on our fishing and bring in some regulation that protects the lobster a little bit and gives them more time to grow. We don't have a cap on jumbo lobsters. Like, you can catch as big a lobster as you want. There's no limit on how many total lobster we can catch. So there are things we can do as a country to say, let's try to bring in some changes to be a bit more sustainable so that maybe we do have 10 or 20 more years of good fishing. But is this going to be around in 40 years and look like this? I think certainly not. There's a lot of studies that say it is changing too rapidly.
And, based off your research and kind of what you learned while you were writing this book, like, what was one of the most interesting things you learned that people might not know?
I mean, I learned a lot. I spent a lot of time on the water with fishermen. I'm not a fisherman, but it was eye-opening to me to see, how they work. A lot of them told me their dream is to fish until their bodies give out and they want to just have a heart attack, literally on the deck of the boat and die. That to them is as good as it gets. I had one fisherman say that to me very directly, that he doesn't want to retire. I mean, so they love this work. They believe in this work. They think it's good, honest work. And they are worried that it's coming to an end. So it was interesting to hear different versions of that from different fishermen around the country.
And how long exactly did it take you to put this whole book together?
I probably spent, the idea started about 5 years ago, but I'd say about 4 years ago, really got serious about starting to do some travel and some reporting. And I went everywhere from China to Ireland to France and the UK, all over New England, all over Atlantic Canada and the West Coast. And through Toronto's Chinatown to learn how Chinese immigrants are cooking lobster. I really wanted to take people around the globe, take them on a bit of an adventure to follow lobster from the ocean all the way to plates around the world.
Yeah, that's a really good way to actually do it, because I don't think people, as much as we're like, learn where your food comes from, people probably don't know very much about lobsters.
No, I mean, it's true. I mean, we had a book launch this week with a bunch of people from Ontario. We don't catch lobster here, but a lot of people were curious, and I think that's when journalism is effective, it can hopefully make almost anything interesting. So that was my goal. Was I wanted to make a book for folks who knew nothing about the lobster fishery to find it interesting, to read about the history and the politics and the biology of this incredible species, and hopefully take something away from this book that stays with them.
Yes, I think that's a fair point. And, what do you kind of hope that people will learn from your book then? Is it just to kind of maybe promote more sustainability and better fishing practices? What do you hope people will learn?
I think that's part of it. I hope, in a very basic sense, that it just starts a conversation. I hope that people realize that this great lobster we've had in Canada that's generated billions and billions of dollars in revenue is not going to last forever, that we are pushing lobster towards a cliff with overfishing, that we have a role to play in terms of its, ensuring its sustainability, and just to realize that, when it comes to the natural world and food that is caught in the wild, there is a limit. And as humans, we don't have a great track record when it comes to pumping the brakes when we need to.
Yes, I think from report to reporter, I will agree with that statement. We're not great at pumping the brakes, no.
No, we're definitely not.
No. And, most important question for you here, Greg, where can people go to buy your book?
Really, any independent bookstore in Waterloo region, and across Ontario. Indigo has it. It's on Amazon if people want to order it online. But Indigo has been promoting it as one of their best sellers. So it's on a discount through them online and in their stores. But you can find it in most bookstores across the country right now.
And you said you could get it on Amazon too, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And is it Kindle? Is Kindle a thing yet?
Yep, exactly. Kindle. Yeah, so there is an audiobook. There's a great Newfoundland actor, Jonathan Watton, who actually voiced the book for me. He was in the Murdoch Mysteries. He was one of the voices in Paw Patrol, so my kids were a fan of that.
That's cool.
So, he read the book, and he did a much better job than I ever would have. So, the audiobook is great.
Oh, okay. Now I kind of want to listen to that because it's got his accent, I would assume, right?
Yeah, he's got a great voice. He's perfect for it.
That's awesome. And Greg, do you plan to keep doing more investigative work about lobsters going forward, or are you kind of done with it now?
No, I think I'll always be interested in lobster. I don't know if I'm going to do another book about lobster, but I think I'll always want to write about it and read about it, and I'm interested. It is we don't think as much about it in Ontario, but it's valuable to Eastern Canada as the auto parts sector is to Ontario, or oil is to Alberta. It's a really big deal on the east coast of the country, so I'm always going to have an interest in it.
Yeah, that is true. I know, in Ontario, lobster industry is not something we probably even have over here.
No, there's no fish. There's no lobster fishing.
But over on the East Coast, I know that's their jam. That's their thing. Lobsters.
Yes, it's a very big deal. It's become a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah. So hopefully they don't lose the lobsters and we can keep eating lobsters in the future. But I guess we're going to see how that goes, eh?
That's the hope. Yeah, there's a lot riding on this. So I hope we get it right. And as a country, we can take some steps to ensure that it sticks around.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on the show today, Greg. And would you happen to have an uplifting song that we can actually put in our song request list before I let you go?
An uplifting song. Let's play something, because it's Friday, something by Bob Marley.
Some by Bob Marley.
Loved. Yeah,
okay.
If you could do that, that'll get people's head nodding.
Perfect. I will do that for you, Greg, and I appreciate you taking some time to talk to me on the show today.
My pleasure, Justine. Thanks for having me. Really great to chat.
Thank you. You have a good day now. We're going to take a quick commercial break to pay some bills. This is 570 News Radio. I'm Justine Fraser, filling in for Mike Farwell on Rogers TV.
I was sent as a reporter to write about that, and it kind of got me thinking, why are we so worked up about lobsters? And there are a lot of them in the sea. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized that, no, actually, people are very worried about the future of this fishery. And this great lobster boom that we've been enjoying in Canada is actually on the tail end, and it's declining. And so people are very worried about where it's all going.
That was Greg Mercer, a local author and an investigative journalist for the Globe and Mail. He wrote a book called The Lobster Trap. It's all about the brink of the lobsters as they seem to be dying out. I don't eat a lot of lobsters. I didn't know this was an issue, but I guess the lobster industries, they're not doing very well. And, if you buy his book, it just came out in August, and it will tell you more about his investigative work over the last 4 to 5 years to uncover what's going on with the lobsters globally around the world. It was super interesting interview, actually. Can't wait to actually listen to the Kindle version where he has a Newfoundlander reading it, because I just think that'll be so much more enjoyable. You are listening to The Mike Farwell Show. I'm Justine Fraser. You are not confused. I am just not Mike. And I am filling in for the day, enjoying this beautiful Friday with you. I'm so happy it's so sunny and super warm out. And we are looking for song requests, sunny song requests, something that, I don't know, something to uplift you, something to inspire you. I guess that's kind of where we're going today, something inspiring. So you can call in and you can let us know what it is you want to hear at 519-570-2545. Be nice to Jen on the other side, or I will come and find you. And I have some interesting news, because I guess the Willow River Center in downtown Kitchener, it's not going to close anymore. The community was able to rally behind this center, and they're just staying open now. And that's an Indigenous queer-led community center. It is the brick and mortar base for Landback Camp, and it was recently in imminent danger of closing. But it, it got some help from the Palestinian youth movement, who I guess from this press release, they just kind of reached out to them, gave them their social media accounts, and the Palestinian youth movement, they organized a banquet and a fundraiser in just a very, very, very short period of time. And I don't know, I guess it says on here 200 tickets sold, 12 community sponsors, 86 donated raffle items, and they were able to fundraise about $27,000 that all went to the Willow River Center. And now Amy Smoke, the co-founder, is saying that they're going to stay alive. They're not going anywhere now. They're going to stay in downtown Kitchener. They needed some more funding support from the region, but I guess, they just couldn't get it. There's a lot of different community projects right now and community nonprofits. They all need help, so I guess they couldn't get what they needed. But a local community group called the Palestinian Youth Movement, they did actually step up, and they were able to help them with a banquet and a fundraiser, which I think is pretty cool. And if you want to call in, you can talk to me more about speed cameras right now. We have a couple of minutes. That number is 519-570-2545. Or talk to me about lobsters. What do you think about Greg Mercer's new book, The Lobster Trap? Do you eat a lot of lobsters? I don't know. Let me know. I don't eat a lot of lobsters personally, so I don't think I'm going to be the reason they die out of the ocean. But knowing that it's an issue, I don't know. I guess maybe we should all just eat a little less lobster. And, on our next guest for today at 10:30, we do have a professor. He's kind of known as the food professor online, to be honest. Most of us call him the food professor in the media world, but he works in Dalhousie University over in Halifax. He's over at McGill now. But he is incredible at anything to do with food economics. And he wrote an article about pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkin economics, and just went over about all the crazy stats, because y'all, it doesn't seem to matter that money is tight. You are still buying pumpkin spice lattes, which I don't blame you. I've already bought one this year, and it's September 12th. I don't even know. Is it fall yet? It doesn't feel like fall. But maybe it is fall. I guess so. I don't know. It's pretty hot outside. It's hard to believe it's fall. But yeah, tune in 10:30 in just a couple of minutes. Well, about 10 minutes. And we're going to talk more about the stats behind pumpkin spice lattes. Then after that, we have the Friday 4 panel. And we have some hot topics on the Friday 4 panel today. We have Premier Ford and his statements about speed cameras being a tax grab. He also kind of told municipalities to shut them down, or he's going to do it for them. So I guess we're going to see what people think of that. Do you want him to have these opinions? Maybe not. Do you want him to just stay out of it and let municipalities deal with it on their own? I don't know. but he has been very vocal lately, so we're going to talk about that on the Friday 4 panel. And then after that at noon, yes, I was just looking. Yes, we do have a noon guest, Nick Weber, the president of Waterloo Federation of Agriculture. He's going to come on and he's going to tell us how all our crops are doing. He's going to talk about how it was one of the hottest summers on record. I think it was in 70 years. And how did those crops do? You know, are they still alive? What are we going to be able to buy this harvest season? I know that pumpkin and squash, they're doing quite well because I've seen them in the store already. They're ready to go. People already are stacking up their patios with all those little pretty pumpkins. And I'm not complaining because I have definitely bought my fair share of pumpkins over the years. We are going to take a quick break, though, and you can call in today. Let us know what music you want to listen to that might uplift somebody else who is also listening. You can call in 519-570-2545. This is the Mike Farwell Show. I'm Justine Fraser on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It's One Love. Thank you, Greg Mercer, for that song request. We are going to start talking about a very nostalgic drink, pumpkin spice lattes. It's actually a multi-billion-dollar global industry, and Canada is actually taking home a fair share of that. And, you know, considering we're in an era of elevated food costs, it just seems a little bit wild that people are so indulgent on still buying pumpkin spice lattes. On the phone, we have a visiting scholar in food distribution and policy at McGill University, Sylvain Charlebois. Sylvain, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. And I'm not butchering your first name, am I?
You did a great job.
Perfect. And, you know, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. I read your article on Substack about pumpkin economics or pumpkinomics and pumpkin spice lattes, and it was honestly quite a bit fascinating. Yeah, can you just tell me a little bit more about the study and, you know, like what are some numbers that really stood out to you?
Yeah, well, first of all, I got to ask you, do you drink pumpkin spice lattes?
I do.
You do?
I can't even lie. I do. I don't buy a lot of them, but I do.
Okay, can I ask you why?
I do like the taste. It depends. I like Starbucks. Starbucks has a good taste. Tim Hortons, I don't really want to throw them under the bus right now. But yeah, I just like the taste. I like the pumpkin spice taste, I guess. And it does have that like warming, cozy fall vibe. I don't know. It just puts you in a good mood, I guess.
No, absolutely. I mean, you're not alone, clearly. I mean, every fall there's a bonanza around pumpkin spice. The stroke of genius came from Starbucks back in 2003, an employee actually had this idea of running a pilot with this wacky taste pumpkin spice, and it just took off. There was a pilot in Vancouver, only in Vancouver at the time in 2003, and since then it's just spread. It spread all across the country, and so every fall now we have this pumpkin spice campaign. Typically, it starts early September. But over the last 2 years, it actually started in August. Unit sales are slowly dropping now. However, prices have gone up, so revenues are way up. So as you just mentioned earlier, it's way over $1.2 billion in sales. So it's a lot of money for coffee shops, and a lot of people, yes, they'll buy a pumpkin spice latte for the taste, but it's mostly because of the smell and the nostalgia that comes with the smell. That's really the key here.
Interesting. So you're saying it has nothing to do with the drink. It is all about the smell of the drink.
Yeah. People, when they think about pumpkin and spice, of course, they think about, their homes and time with family and friends, and they like to, and they like comfort. It's like comfort food. They just like to cozy up around a nice cup of pumpkin spice coffee or a pumpkin spice latte. And the one thing that we've noticed the last 22 years is that when the economy doesn't do too well, typically the pumpkin spice campaign does very well. Why? Because, it's a cheap fix. It may be an expensive cup of coffee, but it's not all that expensive compared to a trip to Cancun to uplift you for the day. And so that's really why pumpkin spice lattes or the pumpkin spice campaign is so successful.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it's only sold really a couple months of the year. So for them to make so much money just from a couple months, is that kind of a wild number to you? Like, I think it was Canada's about 154 million of the global spice market, something like that. Like, does that make sense? Are we drinking too much pumpkin spice?
I suspect that fans out there will say, let's actually do it all year round. But I've been impressed by the discipline within the industry. They're sticking to the fall. Over the years, we've seen several food campaigns focusing on an event or a time of year. And I have in mind the Cadbury egg, Easter egg. Do you remember those? They're still around.
Of course, yes, they're still around.
Yeah, when they were actually marketed for the first time, I think it was about 30 years ago, it was basically only for Easter. But now you see them all year round. And so they lost kind of the allure around Easter. So when you see a Cadbury egg, you don't necessarily associate that with spring or Easter. But pumpkin spice, with the discipline, it is very much intrinsically linked to the fall season.
Yes, I definitely link it to the fall season. I don't know if it's just because it's pumpkin, but it's got a fall vibe to it, right? And could you speak a little bit to like what it does for Canadian farmers, especially in like Ontario and Quebec there, who grow pumpkins and stuff? Like, does this help them?
A little. It does market pumpkins, of course, and cinnamon and spices that comes along with that, of course, but not a whole lot. But of course, it's always good to talk about a certain vegetable or fruit, and of course, they always need that extra marketing lift along the way. But a lot of people, I was speaking to a coffee executive earlier this week, and I did ask her, so the pumpkin spice thing has been going on for 22 years. What's next? What's going to be the next one? And they've been trying to launch like new flavors to replicate the success of pumpkin spice, but they haven't been able to. I think up there on the list would be matcha. Matcha is becoming very popular, but it's not associated to a time of year. It's very much focused on health. And when you want to indulge and feel good and feel nostalgic, you're not drinking something to for your well-being. Matcha is very much associated with well-being, and the other one is chai. Chai is very popular, but it hasn't gone mainstream yet. It's been taking a while.
Is that fair to say you think those might be the next contenders with pumpkin spice lattes? Like, do you think they're the next big hit? What do you think is going to follow?
If I am to think of contenders to pumpkin spice, I would probably say matcha and chai for now. But again, it's incredibly difficult to replicate what has happened with pumpkin spice, to be honest. Like I said, it's a stroke of genius. You have ingredients there that are industrially manufactured. With matcha, in Japan, matcha is still made artisanally. I mean, it's the production is not industrial at all. And so if you are to make the drink mainstream, you're going to have some difficulties having access to the ingredient. Whereas with pumpkin spice, you got everything you need. So you can sell as many lattes as you want.
And I got to ask you back there. So then, do you drink pumpkin spice lattes?
Hate it.
You hate them? Oh, my goodness. And I'm making you talk about them for this long?
Well, I'm an academic. I don't judge. I mean, I just try to understand phenomena. I actually wrote a book on poutine, for goodness sake, and I don't like poutine. It's just I find these food phenomena so fascinating. I mean, what gets people to drink certain products or certain drinks, and what makes people eat certain dishes and things like that. Humans are fascinating in that way.
Well, I appreciate that you're fascinated by us. And, you know, I think that you said it's been like 22 years since the pumpkin spice latte was invented by Starbucks. Is that correct?
That's correct. And the guy who who's credited to have invented the phenomena of pumpkin spice lattes is still on payroll at Starbucks in Seattle.
Does he do anything, or is he's just the creator of pumpkin spice lattes? That's good enough.
Actually, that's a good question. I don't know. I hope he earns more.
Right.
I hope they've rewarded him in some way. But I do know he's still working there, because when he actually started this campaign, he was in his mid-30s. He was a young executive. So yeah, it's all because of Starbucks and that person. And I'm sorry, I can't remember the person's name.
You know what? Hopefully maybe a caller will call in and tell us, because they're pretty good like that. And that was in Vancouver, right? Like, is it a Canadian thing, you think? Is it fair to say it was started in Canada?
No, well, Starbucks, it started in Seattle. The idea came from Seattle, and of course, with stores in Canada, they endorsed it. The thing about pumpkin spice and the difference between Canada and the U.S. is that our Thanksgiving is in October, whereas their Thanksgiving is end of November. So again, that stretches the campaign, so they make it accessible for all North Americans for several weeks to cover both Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, from what you've kind of gathered, do you expect those sales to just kind of keep growing over year over year? We are expecting a record year this year, but it all depends. I mean, it depends on how the market reacts, but it is, again, associated with coffee, and 91% of Canadians actually drink coffee on a regular basis. It is the most popular drink in Canada after water, and so that's another plus for the campaign to support the popularity of pumpkin spice. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't realize that coffee was that That kind of makes sense, though. I actually drink coffee more than I drink water, I think.
I mean, Canada's number 7 in the world in terms of coffee consumption per capita.
Oh, my. Should we be concerned about that?
Coffee.
I don't know. We're all very wired, I guess.
Canadians, so we're number 7 in the world for coffee consumption per capita, but we're number 1 in the world for coffee consumed outside the home, which, of course, makes pumpkin spice lattes even more so popular.
Interesting. Well,
so there you go.
Yeah. And, you know, with it being the start of fall season, I guess, you know, we're going to keep seeing more and more pumpkin spice lattes. They kind of stopped selling them around November, I guess, something like that?
I don't know when the end is. We all know when it begins.
Whenever they want, I guess.
They make a hoopla out of it. But I suspect it ends when, you know, people start to see sugar canes and Santa Clauses and things like that.
When we switch over to the mint and the candy cane.
Exactly.
Yes, it does switch over very quickly.
Very silently, very subtly.
Yes. And, you know, like, what did you take away from your research there? Like, you know, what does this say about people's resilience for indulgence, you know, with food costs being so high right now?
I say that people, when they go to a coffee shop, they kind of forget about their financial challenges. They just want to indulge and sit down, relax, and that's kind of the Starbucks model. They want you to forget about, it's the third home. They call it the third home. So between work and the office, and I think it fits well with what they're trying to do. They're trying to make people to feel at home, and but also get something you can't really get at home or at the office. And so the pumpkin spice latte is, again, a perfect fit for that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would like to pretend I don't spend that much time at Starbucks, but I get that. I get it.
So I bet you this weekend you're going to get a pumpkin spice latte.
I want one right
that's my
now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know it's like another $7. So, pardon?
Is there a station close to a coffee shop? You should go after the show.
We are somewhat close, but it's not Starbucks. So
okay, that's too bad. I mean, others actually do a decent pumpkin spice. I mean, a lot of people, there are a lot of copycats out there, and some of them are actually pretty good.
No, that's true. There are some pretty good ones. There are some pretty terrible ones, and there's some pretty good ones.
For me, they're all terrible.
No.
I mean, I can't imagine drinking pumpkin. I just never got around to it. But I do have children, and I have teenagers, and they love it. They love it. So our household is very supportive of the campaign for sure.
Well, I'm sure that's appreciated. Sylvain, thank you so much for taking some time to be on our show and talk about this with me today.
My pleasure. You take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye now. That was Sylvain Charlebois, visiting scholar in food distribution and policy at McGill University, also known widely as the food professor. We are going to take a quick break, pay some bills, turn some lights on, and maybe get a pumpkin spice latte. You're listening to the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
A lot of people, they'll buy a pumpkin spice latte for the taste, but it's mostly because of the smell and the nostalgia that comes with the smell. That's really the key here.
They say forever, boy and girl, they're just one love in this whole world, and I know I found mine. The heavenly touch of your embrace tells me no one could take your place ever in my heart. Young love.
That is Young Love by Sonny James. Thank you, Doug, for that request on this very, very sunny Friday. I'm so happy it's Friday. I'm so happy it's sunny. And, stay tuned because we have the Friday 4 panel coming up very quickly here. We just had Sylvain Charlebois, food professor, visiting scholar in food distribution and policy at McGill University, talking to us about the economics of pumpkin spice lattes. Because for over 20 years, they have managed to just bring in millions and millions of dollars, and they're only sold a few months of the year during fall. It's a little bit wild if you ask me, but hey, I splurge. I do. I buy the $6 cappuccinos. I buy the $7 pumpkin spice lattes. I do that. I splurge. I don't regret it either because I work hard producing this show every day, and I think I deserve a treat. We have a bunch of topics coming up on the Friday 4 panel for you. The first topic is going to be talking about Premier Ford and his thoughts about speed cameras. If you haven't actually been paying attention, the OPSU, the Ontario Public Service Employees Union, they're on strike. They went on strike this week. I think it was yesterday or the day before. And they represent about 200,000 members across the province, but about 10,000 college staff. They're on strike across Ontario, and they want more provincial funding. They say that the cuts that Ford has made, they're hurting their staff. And it's coming at the same time that many colleges are losing like many international students and a lot of, influx of cash, really. So I don't know. It seems kind of confusing, but I guess we're going to see where that lands. If anybody who, is affected by this strike, maybe you're a student, maybe you're a parent, you want to call in, you want to talk to us today about that and let us know kind of how it's going. You can call in at 519-570-2545 and, tell me how is this strike affecting you? Is it affecting you? Hey, if you just want to tell me that $7 is too much for a pumpkin spice latte and I deserve to be broke, I understand and I get that, And if you also want to call in, we kind of need some more uplifting songs from you. We only have a couple more hours left in this show, but we're looking for uplifting Friday songs. You can call in and tell Jen, my lovely board up, that at 519-570-2545. And if you tell us your name, we'll give you a little shout out on air too for giving us an idea of what you want to listen to uplift other listeners this Friday. And I'm checking online here, and it looks like they're still on strike. They're still on strike. So we're going to tune in to, I'm just checking when my commercial breaks are here because we changed things around to give you guys more time on the talk show. And now I have to make sure that my commercial breaks are coming when I need them to. And do you guys like that? Do you guys like having less traffic, less weather breaks in the middle of this talk show? I wouldn't mind actually if you called in and let me know that, because let us know. Do you like this new format? 519-570-2545. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of The Lobster Trap, the book that we talked about at 10 o'clock with Greg Mercer, a local author and investigative journalist. It's all about a drowning lobster industry. Honestly, I still find that fascinating, and I can't wait to listen to the Kindle version where they got a St. John's person to, I didn't catch the name of that guy, to voice it, which sounds very fascinating because he's also apparently the voice of the Murdoch Mysteries. Yeah, it sounded like a good person to choose to talk about lobsters without, bringing up the East Coast card. And, if you're kind of wondering why my voice doesn't sound like Mike Farwell's, it's because I'm his producer and I'm filling in for him on this lovely, very, very sunny Friday afternoon. And hopefully he lets me come back on again. We'll see. I don't know. It kind of depends. But he has a lot of, he has a lot of really funny, actually, clips in his burly, actually. So I don't know. I'm going to see if I can maybe use any of those for anything fun today. But we also need to take a quick commercial break before we go into our Friday 4 panel here. So if you want to give us a call at 519-570-2545 and give us some uplifting song requests during our little break here, we would very much appreciate that. I'm Justine Fraser. This is The Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun.
Here comes the Friday 4 panel. That is the Beatles' Here Comes the Sun. That was a recommendation by Brian Allison, our musicologist. Hi, Brian. Thank you for listening. We have the Friday 4 panel. Join us on the Mike Farwell Show. I am not Mike Farwell. I am Justine Fraser, filling in on this very beautiful Friday. And I'm joined by my panel guest, Linda Ockwell Jenner, president of Motivational Steps. Hi, Linda. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you very well. It's lovely to meet you. And it's a change not to have Mike here. We'll miss him.
I will do my best, but, Mike needed the day off. I don't know what he's doing, but some important Mike things.
Oh.
We are also joined by Steve Bentley, the managing principal at Northern River Financial. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Justine. Love to see you, but it's good to be back. And thanks for giving me that quick email. I had a technical problem this morning. All resolved.
No worries. It happens. As much as we want these computers to do exactly what we want, they very rarely do. We also have David Kuhn, former board chair at KW Accessibility. Hi, David. Am I saying your last name right?
You are, Justine.
Perfect.
Thank you, and great to be here. Happy Friday, everyone.
And thank you for joining in, all of you. I know you're all used to Mike, but I appreciate you spending some time with me on the show today. And we're gonna still keep it very Mike vibe. You can say whatever you want. Keep it PG. Let's start with the comments made by the premier this week on speed cameras. He called them a tax grab. Linda, I'm gonna start with you if that's okay with you. And just tell me. He's been making a lot of open comments lately, pouring Crown Royale bottles right on the ground. What do you think of all of this? What do do you think he should be doing things like this?
Well, when have we ever been able to stop him, really, when you think about it? And also, he wants to be in the limelight. He wants to be there so people remember him. The Crown Royal, I don't drink whiskey, but my husband does, so that was a shame, but it's not his favourite whiskey. So we live right opposite a school, and it's heartbreaking because we don't have speed cameras. We just have a 30 and a 40 sign, and many people ignore it, even people who are going into the school, which is heartbreaking. But then again, when you look at the stats, which I haven't done today, about how many people get hurt, I don't think a speed camera is going to help, because basically a lot of people slow down when they see it, go over them humpy bumps if they've got them, and then go fast again. So that's not the answer. It's about educating drivers, but a lot of drivers are ignorant. I'm sorry, but they are. Otherwise, they wouldn't follow me going, beep, beep, why are you going 30? Oh, look, there's a school there. I'm going, look, there's a school there, and they can't hear me. So I've got a few stats from the CAA. 73% of Ontario drivers slow down when approaching a speed camera, as I mentioned. 52% of Ontario drivers say they're unlikely to speed up after passing through areas with speed cameras, but most people tell fibs today. That is up from 44% in 2023. So what are they saying? Speed cameras work? I don't think they do. I think they had. It's about the ones that were broken in Toronto, wasn't it, or vandalised? And 73% of Ontario drivers say they support the use of speed cameras in targeted areas. I don't believe any of these people, I'm sorry, because the proof is in the pudding. And I dislike, I think it's horrible that people are doing the vandalising of anything, let alone speed cameras, because then they'll know when the taxes go up. So I don't think speed cameras work. I don't think anything works unless people become humans again. And on that, Justine, I'll hand it over to the guys.
Yeah, fair enough. David, did you have anything you want to add on to that? What do you think of the Premier's comments?
Well, you know what? Doug Ford loves to weigh in on municipal issues. I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. I think he'd much rather be mayor of Toronto, but he's premier of Ontario, and I think he needs to think about that sometimes, and maybe leave municipalities to do their own thing and do what they can do best for their own communities. But I will say this. The speed cameras, we can debate whether they work, whether they don't, but people are going to speed, and it's a sad reality. And they should be fined if they do break the rules of the road. And those fines, unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but those fines ultimately go into regional municipal government coffers, and it's a reality. So, I mean, if the province is going to say to regional governments, municipal governments, they're going to take this away, then what's the alternative? What are they going to do? What are they going to allow municipalities to do and create the opportunity for them to do if it's not speed cameras, if they are going to ban this? That's my question to Mr. Ford and the government.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, what's the next plan in play, right? Steve, did you have any thoughts on that?
Maybe. Mr. Ford, he has an ability to do a lot of getting in front of a camera and saying things that should be said directly to the municipalities as opposed to making a public issue of it. We saw this with bicycle lanes and his decision to have them taken out. We see this in terms of pouring great whiskey on the table. And we see this in these cameras. I think if they want to have a discussion, it should be at the municipal level. It shouldn't be publicly addressed. It's all dirty laundry, right? Makes it sound like the municipalities are criminals in this. And, these speed trap cameras, I'm going to tell you, I got hooked on going down Westmount a couple weeks ago. And did I get caught? Yes, I don't mind. Now, there are some areas in the city where it's very difficult to realize that like in this 1 kilometer stretch, the speed zone changed 3 times. Wow. And on Westmount, you're not thinking of schools. You're just thinking of a major road in the city. But they're there and they have a purpose. And I think certainly in the school zones, certainly in high traffic areas where there could be collisions and that kind of thing. But how many are too many, right? Sure, it's grabbing tax dollars, it's putting it into the municipality. And I got to say, the way they send the notice is very simple. There's a QR code on there, just bing, bang, boom, it's easy to pay. So it's not that much of a stress to pay these. But I try to avoid them. And I've been noticing that there's some areas where I think there could be better signage in terms of the speed zone change. And again, I can think of another location where within a very short period, short stretch, there's a move to 3 different speed zones. People have to pay attention to driving, but they also got to pay attention to the signs. But I think Mr. Ford, he likes the soundbite. He likes to be out there and he likes to have his time in front of the camera. But I think there's some things that are more sensitively addressed with the municipalities. And he makes life difficult for the municipalities in a lot of respects. Let's not talk about, development and the taxes that have been passed on and the costs that municipalities, we just saw the city of Kitchener deal with a significant downfall because of the adjustment in development fees that they're allowed to collect. So there's a lot of other things I think that should be on his agenda. Certainly dealing with what's going on with the southern part of this continent. Names shall remain nameless, but I do respect some of the things he's stood up and spoke on behalf of Canada. But in this case, I think he's better just to.
Yes, I think there's a good point there. Sometimes he says things that everyone agrees with, but I think lately he's just, I don't know, it just seems like he's just, he wants to be on the camera. And, I got to ask, shouldn't municipalities just kind of decide this on an individual basis? What do you think, Linda? Do you think each municipality should maybe decide this on their own?
Actually, it might be a good idea if for once everybody got together. I know it sounds radical, and talk to each other about this, each municipality, whoever needs to be involved. And why can't we be a little bit more consistent and work together? Because basically we've all got roads, we all want safety. I feel there's a lack of cooperation, and I feel there's a lack of collaboration, and it's all about me. And I think, it shouldn't, it's about us. Why not do what we want them to do for a change?
Yeah. And Steve, I know you just said that you did get caught on the camera. So you're not mad about this ticket that you got?
No, you know what? I need to respect the speed zones as they're established, but I think there could be a little more clarity in terms of where there are consistent changes. And you think of a road like Fisher Holman or Westmount or something like that, you're not necessarily going to think about a school zone. That's no excuse, but I just think there could be a little more clarity or signage to say, hey, this is a school zone.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because some people have mentioned that the speed limits seem to change very quickly in some areas around these speed cameras, which doesn't really make any sense to me. But, I guess maybe that's just what we're doing for now until we figure it out. David, did you have anything about this you wanted to add on?
Well, I'll just say, like, I think what you and Steve just said there, that's something I think, local government should be able to deal with on their own. I don't think they need, the province dictating. I think that's fair. But that's not the world that we live in right now. So, maybe it'll change at some point. But for now, I think Doug Ford giving his opinion and putting his foot down is something that we've gotten used to over the last number of years.
Yeah, he seems to be very vocal. I mean, I was not expecting him to pour Crown Royal over the ground when he was in Kitchener.
Well, that was a gimmick. I think most people can see that it was a gimmick. Will it? I don't know if it's impacted the sales of Crown Royal, and maybe it will. But I mean, really, let's do something that makes a big difference. I think his quote was, "He's going to hurt them." Well, okay, how did he hurt them? Did he hurt them? Did more people buy Crown Royal because they're leaving now? And did they stock up? Like, I don't know.
I don't know if anyone's going to admit to buying Crown Royal after that incident, but it would be kind of interesting, right? If that really didn't affect you, you just watch that and you're like, I'm just going to go keep buying this because it's my favorite liquor, and it didn't hurt them at all. Maybe, I don't know. Do you guys think it would hurt them at all?
No.
No.
Businesses are being smart in the current environment we're in and making the changes they need to make in order to, carry on in business. It's so unpredictable. It's a very difficult environment for any business owners right now.
And I think he should have been a little bit nicer, because if you want somebody to do something for you, i.e. this business in particular, stamping your feet like a child and having a tantrum isn't going to stop them doing it any more than their original decision. But it's a bit like closing the door on a customer because, they don't want to be a customer anymore, not wooing them. It's better to be nice to people and kill them with kindness than, as I say, act like a toddler and have a tantrum.
I think that's a good point, and I think we can leave it there before we go to a quick commercial break. And I hope everyone keeps staying tuned and listening. And here with Linda Ockwell Jenner, president of Motivational Steps, Steve Bentley, managing principal at Northern River Financial, and David Kuhn, former board chair at KW Accessibility. I'm Justine Fraser, not Mike Farwell, but this is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. By Farwell Williams. I think we all kind of recognize that song. It was super popular when it came out. And I am actually happier after listening to that. And I also never realized, as the producer of this show, how amazing our audience is when we give them a task. I said, give me uplifting songs today, and you guys succeeded. It's just been fantastic. So I'm going to remember that, and now I'm going to put you guys to work more. We are listening to the Friday 4 panel. Well, you are listening to the Friday 4 panel. I'm here with Linda Ockwell Jenner, the president of MotivationalSteps.com, Steve Bentley, managing principal at Northern River Financial, and David Kuhn, the former board chair at KW Accessibility. We just finished talking about the premier and all his vocal comments lately. We're going to move on to talking about the recent strike made by college staff. There's about 10,000 full-time college support staff that are on strike. They're picketing right across Ontario. Do you support this strike? Do you think it's needed? Or, is this just coming at the worst time ever because it's the start of school? Let's start with David. David, what do you think?
So, I think it's safe to say colleges have been underfunded by successive governments. It doesn't matter the political stripe. And if you go back in Ontario's history, the 1960s, you know, when John Roberts was premier, you know, he was known as the education premier because he not only dramatically expanded Ontario's universities, but his then education minister, future Premier Bill Davis, they built the foundation of the modern post-secondary system. And since then, you know, funding has really declined over the decades. And I think ultimately that's why we're in the situation we're seeing when it comes to colleges right now. And we can debate whether, you know, unions are right. You know, I think it's fair that they should fight for their members and what they feel their members deserve. But I think we all need to be realistic. There's only so much in the pot. And yes, unions are right to fight for better conditions, but everyone is struggling with higher costs. And I think that gets lost in a lot of the discussions when we're talking about unions and pay raises and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, would you like to see more provincial funding? They keep saying that Ford has, you know, cut this, cut that. I don't know. What do you guys think of that? David, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that Doug Ford is actually very keen to say, you know, oftentimes that his government has spent more than, you know, any other government in history. And you know what? To be fair, you know, in some cases he might be right, but the cost of everything has gone up dramatically, inflation and whatnot. So, you know, to say that you're spending more on things is fine, but it doesn't mean you're getting the same or the adequate amount of bang for your buck, so to speak. Like it just doesn't add up. So that's my thought on that.
Linda, did you have anything you want to add on to that? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I don't know whether everybody listening, but I'm sure everybody listening knows we're going through a very, very serious time at the moment because of, you know, what's going on with the person, you know, across the border. And we all really should be thinking about the future and if many jobs will be lost. At the moment, I believe there's money being poured into a lot of the businesses that are going through the tariffs because if they go down, then how can we stay as, you know, a strong Canada? But getting to the point, a lot of organizations, whether it's in the corporate world or I won't say in the customer service world where, you know, stores are like Walmart and places like that, or Zaya's a grocery store. A lot of those places don't have a lot of people to look after you anymore. Nobody seems to care about customer service, but they're still raking in the money. So I'm thinking a lot of organisations in the corporate world are laying people off today because they're trying to manage with fewer and save some money. And those organisations keep on going. So where the colleges are concerned, the staff they have, the support staff includes library technologists, facilities, trade workers, people in the financial aid register office, staff in disability service, library technologists, student success coordinators, facilities, trade staff, co-op placement, coordinator staff. It just goes on, even food service and student workers and much more. What I'd like to see is coming together and see if some of those opportunities can be made into one opportunity. That sounds odd, but if there's not enough money to give to all those people that they want, if they want more money, basically something's got to give, somebody's got to go. And it's not nice being laid off from your job, but I think if everybody could just hang in there for a little bit. If I mention the mental health organisations, basically, they haven't got enough money to help everybody who needs mental health help today, and they have to have part-time people working for them, such as I can't remember the name of the people now, counsellors and people like that, you know, and psychiatrists. Nobody's got enough money anymore. But if those people went on strike, what would we do? So basically, if you're not happy, you know, find a job that will pay you or give you the thing you want or the things you want. But I think what the staff should be doing at the college is how can we work together? If we can't work together, let's put some of these roles together and see if we can cut the staff, maybe give them more money, or say you're going to have to hang on now until, we get a stronger Canada, because it's just not fair, I don't think, to students or the general public when people have strikes, because ultimately, I don't believe the Air Canada one's been settled as it. So again, do we fly? Don't we fly? It's just a big mess, and I don't think we're remembering that it's not just about them, it's about the whole of Canada.
I think that's a really good point there, Linda. And let's leave it there, and we'll come back to Steve when we come back from our commercial break here. You're listening to The Mike Farwell Show. I'm Justine Fraser on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Our callers, when I give them a request to give me uplifting Friday songs, they deliver. Thank you so much, Mary, for shares I believe, or just shares believe. Sorry, she doesn't I believe, she just believes. And we are joined by Linda Ockwell-Jenner, the president of Motivational Steps, part of our Friday 4 panel here today, and Steve Bentley, managing principal at Northern River Financial, and David Kuhn, former board chair at KW Accessibility. I'm Justine Fraser, not Mike Farwell, but I am his keeper, or his producer, as I like to put it. And
that's good.
Yeah, it's, most of the time I'm just making sure he's on time. And Steve, I think you didn't get a chance to comment on the college strikes that we were just chatting about. Did you have a comment on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for being Mike's keeper.
It's not the easiest job.
I actually drove by the college yesterday en route somewhere, and I couldn't believe the amount of congestion that was backing into Homer Watson in terms of the entrances to the college. They have a right to strike. The timing of strikes, though, is an issue for me. If you look at Canada Post, if you look at Air Canada, if you look at the colleges, colleges in general in the last 10 years have seen a freeze in tuition being raised, and with the cut in the international students, which should have been properly managed from the beginning, Conestoga College, as an example, has lost a lot of revenue, and they were banking on that revenue to do what they do. And they've been building a lot of buildings, and they've been doing a lot of things. And in respect to that, though, in the last prior fiscal year, they had a $250 million surplus in the trust. In this past fiscal year, they had $150 million. It's coming down, and also the fact that across colleges, there's been 10,000 people laid off. I have 3 people I know, 2 who were employees at the college, 1 who was a professor in financial planning, who lost their positions. Matter of fact, 2, I can tell you, that lost their positions. So the strike is well deserving, if that's what the union feels. And I just look at the strikes in general. You look at the Air Canada strike, and, the union said, here's the deal, please vote for it. 94% of the people who voted turned it down. And I'm thinking, why is the union putting forward something that is totally off, not in line with what the employees are expecting? So they're standing their ground. There are mitigations. There is ability to go to arbitration, mediation, and that kind of thing. So there's settlement there. The Canada Post strike is ridiculous. Canada Post is in a very, very distraught situation right now financially. The monies that in the position, the full-time position guarantees, that kind of thing, that are being asked for are really not something that they can deliver right now. Colleges are in a very comparable situation. If you look at any of the financials or the school institutions across our region, pretty much all of them are carrying a deficit, in some cases a larger deficit than people may know. They're trying their best, but at the same time, it's curtailing And you're seeing colleges laying off people. You're seeing programs being cut. I had a friend who was a 29-year professor in a certain program in another college in another city. After 29 years, he lost his job because the entire spectrum of the programs that he was involved in were cut. Laurentian University going through a bankruptcy. So the strike is an entitlement. I'm really not sure what they're going to get out of it, other than costing, the employees money being off. I don't think strike pay is significant. And if you look at the college, they can only do so much. I just think the timing is really a critical thing too, because that's the thing that bothers me the most is when you see college students returning to school and then there's a strike, right? Right when it's in the heart of them trying to get back into their academic year, which impacts them. If you look at Canada Post striking before Christmas, when all of the people are sending out cards and parcels and things. So I think they are hurting people. And I think that's the thing that troubles me. So this strike, is it entitlement? Of course, they have a right to strike, but I just think it's not necessarily the great time to do it.
But isn't timing why they do it? I mean, that's why they want to push.
There's some points there, yeah.
Get what they want.
The timing sucks, but the timing is probably, yeah. Yeah, because I agree. Like the college students, they need help, right? Like, but at the same point, would anybody listen to this strike if they did it a month ago? Probably not.
But when they're impacting other people, that concerns me.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah. And, I do feel bad for these students. Like that is a harsh way to start not really getting any services that you actually need, especially the ones who have like disability needs and they're not getting, the learning help that they need, things like that. So it would be nice if, the timing was better, but yeah. Linda, do you have anything to add on to that before we move on to the next topic, I think?
No, I think that's a done deal, really.
And, the next topic is also kind of a little bit of a harder news story, but Barrie's mayor declared a state of emergency this week to address the roughly 20 encampments that are across the city. They might have dismantled a few by now. They said they were going to start pretty quick. And, and it's pretty much like kind of a move or get out kind of situation, like take the help offered, get in these shelters or pitch a tent at a different place that I guess fits your needs better. What do you think of this emergency declaration? Linda, let's start with you if you don't mind.
Oh, no, I don't. I wasn't expecting it. Well, first of all, they can't just dismantle the tents. It's a human rights violation, as we found in Kitchener and Waterloo. Secondly, they say there's accessible help for the people who, they are taking their tents away from where people don't want them. But there isn't enough help. There's not enough, as I mentioned earlier, for mental health. And if they have to wait for the health, they're just going to, the mental health help, the councils and whatever, or the shelters, there's not enough shelters, then they're going to move somewhere else and we're not actually dealing with the problem. So if they do take the tents down, that is, as I say, against the human rights. So I'll be very annoyed. And I was very annoyed actually when, I'm sorry to bring this up, guys, but I saw the soldiers, I don't know what you call them now, in America, taking down the tents of those people and throwing them in the garbage truck along with bikes and things. And that is so unfair. So I know nobody will do that to our people here, but they are there for a reason. There's a housing crisis, there's a mental health crisis, there's a job crisis. Those people need help. So until they can be guaranteed the help, they should stay there and they should get help while they're there. I know it's rather radical, but I'll hand it over to the other guys now.
Yeah, David, do you have an opinion on that one? What do you think of this emergency declaration that he made?
I don't support encampments. And I know that, it's not an easy position to take sometimes in some circles, but I think at the end of the day, the answer is not encampments. It's real investment in mental health, addiction treatment, and other services. You can provide people housing, but it doesn't mean that they are capable of functioning to, on their own for a variety of reasons. So again, we need to make sure we're supporting people how they need to be supported. But the issue with encampments is safety, number one. Mm-hmm. And it's also stigma. It's also the thought amongst the public that everybody in encampments is a certain way, because that's not true. So I think the more we continue on and the more we accept that sort of solution as even a temporary solution, I think that just contributes to the problem in the long run. So no, like I said, I think we need more investment, real investment, and we need to make sure that people are not in makeshift shelters and makeshift housing and encampments and tents in the middle of the city or field or anywhere.
Yeah.
They need actual support.
I think most of us would agree there's just not even enough shelters for these people. So, like, even in the region here, like, until they want to open more shelters, I feel like it's just a closed conversation, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. And, like, Steve, what do you think of this emergency declaration? Is it too far? Is it too much power being put out there by the mayor?
I don't agree with doing an emergency declaration. I think this should have been addressed long before they actually went to this extent. There's major problems are going to happen if they try and dismantle all these homeless encampments. But to speak to Linda and David, the issue is not in terms of the shelters. It's dealing with the issues that are causing, or that are people are dealing with in homeless situations. I mean, Kitchener-Waterloo has some shelters that they've built. I mean, but I see that as a Band-Aid. We really have never been digging down, trying to find out what's causing the issues that homeless are facing. And the other thing too, there's people who are homeless, who do not want to go into the shelters because they live their own life and they feel they should be able to do the things they want to do when they do it. But when you start to see encampments on private land, certainly public land too, there draws a line. There isn't necessarily a legal right to just set up a tent anywhere you want, but what choice do some of these people have? It really is a very difficult situation. And I think, if Linda, I'm going to come back to a point you made. A couple of years ago, we did take bulldozers into an encampment. And we lost a lot of credibility because of that. And to see people having their lives turned upside down, and the people doing it are doing a job, but putting things into using bulldozers to scrape away their belongings and putting it into refuge bins. And what is that saying? What is that saying of how we want to treat our homeless people? And I just this discussion happens so often. We keep coming back and we're just circling and circling and circling. We do not try and address the issues that are causing it or things that credibly could help. We're just creating Band-Aids.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things the mayor, Alex Nuttall of Barrie, said was that he thinks at least half of them aren't even from Barrie. They're from some other place. They're not even from that county. So, like, where are they from then? I don't think they're ours, because ours do not seem to be migrating or going anywhere. I think it also raises a bit of an issue, too, because, yeah, they do. When you look at the videos, they were right on sidewalks, right on boulevards, right in front of people's homes. Like, it's so different than the encampments over here, where they stay a bit, kind of grouped up in one spot a little bit. It seemed like it was just all over the streets there. It was very different. So I'm just kind of curious, do you guys think if, that was more like over here, would we have to do a declaration like this? Linda, do you think so?
I'm not sure about that, to be honest, but I did dig up a bit of information. I won't go through it all, but this started in the 1980s when a lot of people started becoming homeless through many, many reasons, and the government just cut funding for shelter, soup kitchens, stuff like that, and it's just got worse. So the economy of Canada is not very good at the moment, but I still see a lot of money being wasted on things that it shouldn't be wasted on. So I won't go into it any deeper because it's an upsetting thing, and I can't solve it in a few minutes. And I know you've got another topic you want to cover, but
I know. I don't want to run into a commercial break too quickly if you're going to start that too. But I understand, Linda. It is a very hard topic, and we've been bringing it up a lot on the show, of course, over the last year, basically, because we've had to, right, with these encampments going on. I think we're going to, take a quick break here. And then when we come back, we're going to actually have a more fun topic. We're going to go back to pumpkin spice lattes. And you're going to tell me, are you actually purchasing this nostalgic drink? Are you part of the millions and millions going into the economy in just a couple months' time every fall? Let me know. This is the Mike Farwell Show. I'm Justine Fraser on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. A feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be
that the Friday 4 panel, at least one of them probably actually has bought a pumpkin spice latte in last week. I don't know. I'm going to find out. I'm here with Linda Ockwell-Jenner, president of MotivationalSteps.com, Steve Bentley, managing principal at Northern River Financial, and David Kuhn, former board chair at KW Accessibility. I'm Justine Fraser, not Mike Farwell. If I sound like Mike Farwell, please call in and let me know, because then I need to go deal with that. I interviewed a guest at 10:30. His name is Sylvain Charlebois. He is also known as the food professor, and he was talking to me all about the millions and millions of dollars spent by Canadians in every fall, like just in a couple months, every year. And it's been growing for over 20 years, just pumpkin spice flavored things. It's not totally just pumpkin spice lattes, but the facts and the data is mostly coming from pumpkin spice lattes from things like Starbucks. So I got to ask, are you guys still purchasing this nostalgic drink, or are you cutting out expenses like this? Let's start with David. David, what do you think?
You know what? I'm guilty of every now and again doing that. I can say that I have not so far this season yet, but I do love all things pumpkin. Pumpkin pie is big for me. But in terms of lattes, whatnot, I'm actually trying to cut back on sugar. So my coffee is pretty black these days. But on that though, I mean, I think I'm going to go a little serious for a second. I think, it's worth noting the amount of money that people do spend on this stuff. But at the same time, when we look at the state of the world and the state of things, it's nice to still have those little comforts, right? So that's why people still spend money on pumpkin spice, this and that, and whatever it is. Everybody needs a vice. So if that's pumpkin spice latte,
hey, that's a pretty good vice. I'll take that one. Yeah. That's pretty innocent. Linda, have you bought a pumpkin spice latte? I don't know. I'm getting a vibe. No?
Nope, not going to. Don't like Starbucks. Nothing against Starbucks.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, Linda's undecided.
If David bought one a day for a week, that's $48. I think it's $93. If they do this for a month, it's $195.72. And I'll be quick. If they do it for a year, $2,348. I'd rather spend my money on. I've got a thing about purses and stuff like that and clothes, but I don't spend money if I can't afford it. Over to you, Steve.
Steve, what do you think of this nostalgic drink getting millions of dollars every year, bringing that in for Canada? What do you think?
Now, as a financial planner, I have an answer, but I'll save that. I think people need to look at how they spend money. I'm not a pumpkin spice person, but I do have, and I just had one on the way back from up north last Sunday, which is a caramel macchiato grande at Starbucks. But I think David brought up a very good point. As much as it's amazing seeing some of this financial information in terms of the sales in the States and Canada, it creates a really strong opportunity for people to enjoy something in their day. So if this comes along and provides that, then all the power to it. People, like Linda had stated, is just spending money wisely.
This bothers you inwardly due to your profession?
Yeah, because I see a lot. So I also, looking at what David said, and I have to watch sugar too, the amount of sugar. And I'm guilty because I drink something from Starbucks, but there's a lot of sugar in those drinks. So I think people just need to be prudent. It's like anything in moderation, right?
Yeah.
Have a treat. Don't be doing it once or twice a day over, and the biggest problem, it's still summer to me.
I know. When did it switch to fall? I don't know when that happened.
I don't know. I'm seeing it in the leaves changing. Certainly, and the temperatures changed in the last week, but it's coming. We're going away for 2 weeks next week.
21st, so
I feel like when I start to be able to buy a pumpkin spice latte, it's pretty much like that's a sign. Fall's here.
Come the 21st, 22nd, we're actually heading up to Lake Superior for 2 weeks, and the colors will have changed up there. And
that'll be pretty.
Fall is just a week away. Right?
Yes, I do love those fall colors when everything starts to change and we get to actually see Canada, kind of come out of the woodwork and be more artistic. And, here's all these beautiful colors. That is Canada to me, right? Like that's more nostalgic, I think, than an actual pumpkin spice latte drink. Yeah. And I appreciate you guys coming on and talking to me instead of Mike Farwell today. You guys have been fantastic. Does anybody have anything they want to add on before we leave things off?
I do. You have a beautiful radio voice. I'd love to see you in person.
Linda, that's so nice. Thank you.
It's true, though.
I really appreciate that. I'm on Rogers TV right now if you want to watch me, but I don't actually know.
Who's producing the show while you're hosting it?
I can do both. It's
there you go.
Not to put Mike. No, I'm just kidding. I set this up ahead of time for myself so I wouldn't be stressed out looking at my emails all morning while I'm talking to you guys. So it all worked out really well. And, thank you so much, you guys, for being part of the Friday 4 panel today. I'm going to let you guys go. That was Linda Ockwell-Jenner, president of motivationalsteps.com. Steve Bentley, managing principal at Northern River Financial, and David Kuhn, former board chair at KW Accessibility, joining me for the Friday 4 panel today. We're taking a quick commercial break here. This is 570 News Radio, the Mike Farwell Show on Rogers TV. Walking on Sunshine. That's requested by Huda. It has been recorded as one of the hottest summers on records here in Waterloo region in 70 years. It's just, oh my goodness. It did feel that hot to me. How are our crops doing? What's growing in this weird weather we are having, considering the weather did drop very quickly overnight here? I have Nick Weber, president of Waterloo Federation of Agriculture, on the phone joining us today. Nick, how are you?
Oh, not too bad yourself. Thanks for asking.
I'm good. You can hear me okay?
I certainly can, yes.
Perfect. Nick, I appreciate you coming on the show to chat with us. I know you're a busy guy over there. Have you felt the heat this summer? Did it feel hot to you?
It definitely was a very hot summer, but lucky enough, for the most part, it was offset with enough water to kind of make things grow quite nicely this year. So overall, it has been a summer of extremes, but there's been enough averages to kind of keep things level and smooth, and actually we're on track for pretty good crop-wise here in Waterloo region, it seems like, this year.
Really? Interesting. So they liked the heat then. They were okay?
They definitely do. Like I said, there was a couple points where we hadn't got rain when we did. It might have been a bit more touchy. But lucky enough, like I said, here in the region, we've been pretty lucky with a good averages here. There's other spots more to the east of Ontario that are not as lucky. Like I know, Peterborough and Kawartha areas that definitely had more issues with drought than we did this summer. But all in all, it has been unseasonably hot, but we've actually pulled through pretty good this year so far, which is something nice to see for farmers. Usually we like complaining a lot, right? But this time we're actually relatively positive looking at things so far. Anyway.
Perfect. So the farmers, they're talking to you, and they're sounding positive right now? What are they saying?
So far, like I said, so far everyone's so the first couple crops kind of come off this year so far have been the grains and such. They come off. They had pretty good yields. That's mostly due to the good spring and good winter we had this year for them. Like, it might not have been a great winter as far as weather-wise, but actually was pretty good for the crops. The winter wheat and such likes a good snow cover, likes that consistently cold, doesn't like the ups and downs that we had other seasons, other years. So this year actually was pretty good, and that crop came off really good this year. People were talking good yields for that. It wasn't records, mind you, but still was a good yield anyways. And we're on track, pretty good looking as far as the fruit crops in the region too, and same with the corn and the hay. It's been a pretty good year so far for them.
Yeah. Is there like any particular plant or plants that are growing super well because of all this weird weather we're having?
The weeds always are growing well.
Well,
that's what you do.
Of course.
No matter where you go.
Of course.
But everything is actually, like I said, it's been a pretty good average. There hasn't been there has been some extremes, but there's enough stuff in between to kind of temper them down and make it a decent year anyway so far.
Yeah. So, as far as the fall harvest, I don't know. We're still debating over here if it's fall. But as far as the fall harvest goes, what can people expect? Do you think there's going to be just like an abundance of fresh veggies and things available?
There definitely is, I would say. We've definitely come a lot over the years, too. Because we've had a couple hard years previously, a lot of people have implemented a lot of irrigation systems and such to help manage these extremes in weather. So it does mean a more consistent crop for consumers going forward. And so it does mean a lot, actually quite nicely for the region here. There's a lot of really good local fruit and vegetable growers and such there, and they've done a lot of hard work over the years to make sure they have a consistent crop every year for us to buy. And right about now is about the time of year they're starting. Like I know locally, I'm up north near Elmira here, and one of the local orchards is about to start their tours this Saturday. Shoe Farms, actually, they just do their first year opening for their big... I call it, guys, the fall festival almost there, and they're just about right open for that there. So again, it's been a pretty good season leading up to this year. So it's looking promising so far.
Yeah, and you're talking about apple orchids, right?
Yes, I definitely am.
Yeah,
yes.
So the apples, I mean, I don't know what time we're supposed to start. When do people normally start going to harvest those?
Usually about this time of year, approximately.
Okay.
There definitely has been some advances in the different breeds of apples, different types of apples. So they definitely are pushing to try and get more and more early market, where historically that wasn't always the case. Usually it's more of a late September, early October thing, but now there is some stuff coming in season in early September nowadays.
Do you think, do you see more things coming in earlier in the season than they used to? Is that a thing?
Yes and no. Part of it is because we designed things that way, always trying to capture the early market and such. So there's always the push to try and be the first one at the sales barn as it would be there. Mm-hmm. If you're at first, you get the most money there, right? So if you can try and beat everyone else, you get a little bit ahead that way. And also, too, the weather has been every year. There is definitely records to it there, where every year it gets a little bit slightly warmer, and the season changes a little bit slightly every year. So it's actually had quite a number of years where things keep kind of pushing and creeping ever so closely earlier and earlier. So just an overall trend there. There is years where it's not always the case, but the trend is moving towards early and earlier, and it's also partially due to weather, partially also due to crop breeding and crop sciences to actually make it so the crops can grow and produce faster to make it to the market sooner type of thing.
Yeah, and my next question was going to be about how farmers are adapting to this very rapidly changing environment. And I guess you're saying they're putting in better irrigation systems. What are they doing? Yeah, what are they doing to deal with the hot days like that?
So for vegetables and such, it's not as much an issue for the hot days. In fact, a lot of times vegetables usually will like the heat and such, because it helps them grow and helps get things a little more speedy along there. The issue can be a bit more with the animal livestock and the agriculture sector that way there. But most new barns and most new buildings these days already have taken into account for better ventilation practices, better heating, better cooling. All systems are already in place now going forward to most new builds. And even a lot of older builds are already putting that in to actually make it so that the animals are better, because a happier animal produces more, and more production means more money in your pocket in the day. So it's always in our interest to make sure animals are happy and healthy as a farmer.
Yeah. And I think some of the harvest markets have already actually opened for the year, right? Is this earlier than normal for them?
Yes and no. Usually, I'd say usually about this time you start to see some of the early stuff come out there. And so it's not super early in my mind. It just feels a little bit different this year because we had that cold snap a couple weeks ago there, right? So the season feels a little bit different right now. And now, again, we're sitting at 25 degrees again, almost again here today, right? So it's a little bit odd, but the averages out and actually seems to be relatively normal when you take that into consideration. Sure, there's ups and downs, but the real average is kind of where it's kind of supposed to be.
Yeah. And, from what you're gathering from these farmers, would they like more help or more, more scientific kind of methods kind of developed to kind of help them? Like, is there a need for them?
There always is that stuff always ongoing, though. Like, there's a lot of stuff we just always don't see behind. It's always going on behind the scenes, right? So every year there's always a couple new. University of Guelph is always a great example of that. There's always always new crop trials going to University of Guelph at their various test farms and test plots. All the various seed companies are always having new test plots, new varieties, new strains, new things. You can test every year to see what all can and cannot grow well and so on. So there's always innovation, just it's maybe not always at the forefront and such. So it's always interesting to see what things go. And even, again, when you compare the crops from now to the crops 10, 15 years ago, there's a remarkable difference in yield, and there's just a remarkable difference in how much they can produce with a little more, with less inputs almost.
Are we producing more now than we used to, or less?
We definitely are producing more than we used to.
Okay.
The simple fact being that there's less and less farmers out there in the world, and there's also there's less and less farmland in the world too, or less and less good farmland in the world anyways. And there's always an issue there where what makes good farmland also makes good housing land too. So we always have to try and make do with what we can there, and sometimes the best way to do that is to increase the input or increase the technology you have to make more with less, in a sense.
Yeah, and what does this region and the surrounding area grow best? Like, what do we do best at growing every year, if you had to pick something?
We grow a lot of things very, very well here. We are very lucky to be where we are here in Waterloo region. We can grow a lot of things very well that a lot of other regions don't have the capability to. So we are quite lucky that way. There's not really one superstar crop, I would say, we grow a lot of, but we do grow a lot of things very well. So we're kind of a nice jack of all trades type of farming situation where we have just a little bit of everything in the region here. That's also just kind of the way we are here.
Yeah. And is it too early to buy a pumpkin, or are they doing well?
There would be some that actually would be. I definitely know some people, if they would have had some of the earlier guys, some of the more market-focused farmers and such, they would have probably had some started in the greenhouses back early in the year and had them transplanted in the early spring there. So there's actually probably some out there already. It might not be the large fields you expect to see late September or October, but there definitely some out there, the stands I've seen by now.
And, what are you looking forward to buying the most this fall? Like, is there an item like pumpkin, squash, apples that you always want to buy?
Always fresh apples and fresh apple cider. That's always, for me, is the sign of fall there.
That feels like a very Elmira answer, I have to be honest.
It very much is.
I don't know why, but apples, I worked at the Woolwich Observer for a while. That's actually where I got my start. And I don't know why, but the apples and Elmira, they just seem to go hand in hand.
It just seems to. I'm not sure what it is, but it just seems to be something that's just always there. And it's just something like it's always, for me, is a sign of fall when you have the first couple of apples of the fall. Like I said, the first fresh apple cider of the year, too, is always a big one, too. So.
Yeah, and I know there's that big church over there. I think it's just volunteer run, but they always make apple pies. I think it's for charity every year.
Yes, there always is a bunch of them to do. Yeah,
have they started doing that? Because that was the best apple pie I've ever eaten in my life.
Not yet, but it will be very soon, I would think.
I'm going to keep that on my radar because I need to eat that again. I remember I went there to interview them once, and I got sent home with a pie, and it was the best pie I've ever eaten in my life.
Yeah, say that'd be a terrible thing to walk away from an interview from, right? A nice apple pie, that'd be just terrible, right?
I know. I couldn't say no. That was one of those freebies. I was like, I'm not going to say no to the free apple pie.
No.
I'm just not. But, I really appreciate your time today, Nick. Was there anything else, that farmers are telling you that you think we should know before we let you go today?
The one thing you always repeat, I always do a lot more repeating in the region here, is always support your local farms and local farm stands. So it kind of ties hand in hand with being that time of year where things are starting to be productive now. So if you can, you see a farm stand on the side of the road, stop in and say hi. Maybe buy some apples or some pumpkins or something, but that's the thing that makes the most direct impact to a farmer in the area here is if you support them directly in something like that, whether it be maple syrup, whether it be flowers, apples, honey, you name it. That's the best thing we can do to help the local farmers here.
Yes, I think that's a good point. And we do actually have a fair amount of little farmers market stands. It's not just this giant St. Jacobs farmers market. Yeah, I think people just always go there. But I'm one of these people. I'm like, no, I like the little stands.
Yep. You get the more personality there, right? You get to meet the actual person, you get to talk to them and see the way of life and everything else, right? So it's little extra touches that make a big difference sometimes.
Yeah, there's that one up, it's kind of like near Elmira or whatever. It's run by the Mennonites. I really like that one. I can't remember what it's called. I don't know.
Oh, there's probably quite a few.
I was going to say, that sounds probably like at least 10 of them. That wasn't a good description. But yeah, no, the food is amazing out there. So thank you anyways, though, Nick Weber, for coming on today and telling us how these crops are doing after the hottest summer on record in 70 years. Oh, my. And, if you ever have any ideas for us, Nick, please feel free to reach out in the future.
Oh, certainly will do. Certainly will do. There's always lots of farming ideas right on here, so I'll see what I can think for next time around here.
Perfect. You have a good Friday.
Okay, you too. Thank you very much.
Bye now.
Bye.
That was Nick Weber, president of Waterloo Federation of Agriculture. He joined us today to talk about how the crops are doing locally just before all the fall harvesting comes into play. I don't know. I'm getting told it's already fall, but if it's like 25 degrees outside, I'm a little confused. So call me and tell me if you think fall has started. Have you already started your fall routines? Call us today at 519-570-2545. We have about, 40 minutes, and you can chat with me and tell me if you've already started your fall routines, or if you want to call in and talk about anything else that we talked about today, let me know. This is the Mike Farwell Show. I'm Justine Fraser on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Good day, sunshine. Good day, sunshine. Good day, sunshine. I need to laugh, and when the sun is out, I've got something I can laugh about. I feel good in a special way. I'm in love and it's a sunny day. Good day, sunshine.
That is the Beatles. Good Day, Sunshine. I'm not actually sure who requested that because I went for a quick bathroom break, but thank you. That was Mark. Thank you, Mark. And we have a bunch of callers on the line. Dan, let's get to you. How's it going, Dan?
Good. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm happy I got to sit in this happy, dappy seat today and interview all these wonderful people. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Mike's out doing the Kitchener Ranger thing, I guess, is he?
I actually didn't ask him what he's doing. I don't know where he is.
Not important, I guess. But anyway.
I don't know. Let him
go
be.
ahead.
I like to let him be. I don't know. He's always doing something very fascinating to me. One time I went and looked on his Instagram, and he's just going on this really long motorcycle ride, so I don't ask.
Yeah, well, hopefully he's enjoying his day.
Hopefully.
Sorry, we keep cutting each other off.
No worries. Dan, I'm not going to cut you off. Dan, say what you want to say here.
That's okay. I just wanted to touch on the fall thing. For me, fall begins when the puck drops at, I was going to say Maple Leaf Gardens, but that's been a while now. So anyway, that's fall for me.
Fair enough.
And I also wanted to touch on the previous caller's point about Trump stepping down. That's never going to happen. They could barely vote the guy out, never mind step down.
Yeah.
But I think his logic about giving in to radicals, just because one guy tries to assassinate him, you just can't do that. He's not the man for the job, and I wish he'd go away forever, but it's not going to happen, and I don't think he should bow down to those types of individuals anyway. So thank you.
Yeah, fair point. That's Dan over there. Thank you, Dan. And let's take another caller here. Andre, how's it going?
Hello, Justine.
Yeah, thank you. It's good. How are you doing?
Unique name. Thank you. I'm doing awesome. It's Friday. And I wanted to talk about the change, I think, that you made. I heard about the format of the show.
I was told about it. I don't know if it's but yeah, tell me, what do you think of this new format? I'm not taking the blame.
I love it because it gives us more time instead of just one or two callers. You get 3-4 callers, and I think everybody's opinion is important. And this is what this show is about: is listening, talking, sharing. You know what I mean? Like open windows. I really love your transparency. Get to know you on air. So, yeah.
Oh, that's
go
nice.
Rangers, and keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you so much, Andre. You know, we actually really do appreciate the support. As Farwell's producer, keeper, however you want to put that, we get a crazy amount of support from you guys, and it is actually very flattering all the time. We don't really know what to do with it. But thank you. We are just doing our jobs, putting out a talk show, hoping you listen. My next caller, I think I'm going in order. Paul, how's it going?
It is going well. And with you?
I'm good. I mean, I'm a little sad that I'm going to get kicked out of the seat soon, but, you know, life.
Listen, I'm sure that Mike has much better things to be doing today than to listen to his show. Not that there's anything wrong with a substitute, but I'm sure he has much more important things to do. But on the offhand chance that he does happen to listen in, I just want to say congratulations to Mike and Jen, and I hope all the very best for them and the rest of their lives.
Oh, that's really nice. I will make sure he knows that you said that either way.
He knows. He knows.
Yeah.
But
you know,
like
hopefully that is what he's doing.
Yeah, it's an important time for him, and I hope he's doing what he's supposed to be doing instead of listening to the radio.
I know. Honestly, as his
Mike
keeper,
and
I'm going
Jen.
to tell you guys, even on his day off, he still emails me. He still is working, and I'm like, Mike, you're on vacation. Stop working. So
Hey, he
so
replied
bad
to
at
an email this morning to me, so
See, like he doesn't know how to turn off, and like I don't know, it's kind of funny to watch. To be honest, at this point, I'm just like, whatever. You don't want a day off, don't take it. I don't. But yes, thank you, Paul, for that, and thank you for the congratulations.
Have a great day, great weekend, and everything
Yes,
else.
you too. Hopefully the weather stays this way. Let's see, what time is it? 12:40. Okay. We still have some time. If anybody does want to call in, 519-570-2545. We have Greg on the line. Greg, how are you?
I'm glad it's Friday. That's how.
Oh my gosh, right? Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah. Force member 38, Greg here, by the way, out of his force. But I was talking to him like off air, just like by messages and stuff. And I always point out, and I'm not sure if he caught it or not, but any fans of Harmony Lunch Burgers, 11-2, parking lot of Stemler's in Heidelberg, there's another round of them. And I know that, last time I saw him there. So I just want to make sure in his really busy weekend that he catches wind of that, just in case,
Fair enough.
Well, I know to me food's important, so, but like I say, he might have some other things, reasons for the weekend off, not just us.
Hopefully he's doing something fun and went away for the weekend, but I don't know.
Actually,
we'll find out.
Didn't he actually say that when he comes back, his left hand is going to be heavier because of what's going to be on it? Like, isn't this the weekend?
I thought that already happened.
This is for his hand.
Oh, this is for his hand.
Her hand, yeah.
Okay, I was getting confused there.
Isn't this the ceremony weekend, whatever they are doing, low key?
If it is, he did not tell me about it, so it's private, and we'll leave it there.
Okay. I know. I said it on the show. That's the only reason
did he? Oh, okay, then I wasn't listening.
Joking about his hand's going to be heavier coming back, so.
Okay.
But,
so this is a conspiracy theory. He didn't actually say that.
Oh, that's how he put it. And I thought, okay, so they're going to make things official. This is the weekend. Like that was pretty quick, but hey, all good.
I mean, he could do something else, but yeah, that is probably likely. Well, thank you, Greg.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you take care and have a good weekend yourself.
Yes, you too. Enjoy the weather. 12:42, and I'm Justine Fraser filling in for Mike Farwell on this lovely Talkback Hour. You guys have been great today, by the way, with song requests, calling in. I feel very, very much like we have a very amazing listenership, a great audience. You guys, I don't know. I wasn't expecting you guys to do so well at the task today of uplifting songs, so thank you for that. Sue on the line. Sue, what's going on? What's bugging you?
Well, I'm glad this is my third attempt to try to get through.
Oh, no.
And also, I understand about the heavier hand because he's got the ring on the finger now.
Yes.
So congratulations to Mike and his new wife. Well, not so new, actually. Anyway, I'm calling in regards to some ideas that I think are positive. The out of Millbank on the north part, they have a school, but they only have the lights flashing when the school is in session, so that you can do the highway speed, but then they have a good segment ahead and behind the school, like in front and before, that you have chance to slow down from going your 80 down to 40. So, and they just do it to 40, not to 30 there. The other thing is, I have noticed some more advanced cameras now that register the speed, that if you're going above the amount you're supposed to, it's in red. If you're going at the amount, at the speed you're supposed to, or lower, they have it in green with a thank you written underneath.
Yes, I do like those thank you messages. I know it's silly, but I do.
That gives encouragement to me, rather than this kind of, you're this fast, you got to slow down, or else, that type of thing. But because they realize that, we're trying to be considerate, and they're responding with a thank you. And I think that's, and in the green,
Sue, I got to ask, though, what if it was the opposite? What if when you were driving really bad, a bad word popped up?
Well, no, I just say slow down, slowly, please.
But wouldn't that work though? If we were just like stop.
Well, I have a feeling it's. I think with Canadians, we still have the politeness, and I feel that we can register that politeness to our new people that come in to drive too fast too. That we appreciate when they are considerate to slow down, and anybody, you know what I mean? And of course, but the lights for the stop junction points definitely should be, the cameras should be on for that, because there's too many people that try to go through red lights when it's already red for about 2-3 seconds, So that's the other thing.
Yeah, fair enough. So, Sue, you're on board with the speed cameras?
If there is a sequence, you see, all these lights are junction of lights, particularly on Victoria. If you get going at a certain speed, just like at Hespeler, if you get at a regular speed, you can cover the entire blocks that have all those plazas on Hespeler. And likewise, in Victoria, if you keep at a certain speed, then they've mastered the mathematician for what a light sequence can be, that you can keep going green as long as it's just at the speed limit. Anyway, that's another suggestion.
Yeah. It sounds like you're very on board with these speed cameras, though.
I've been all over the place, and I've seen these different speed cameras, so I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
But one thing that really peeved me was the Westmount one, Plaza and the school, but it was Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve. Nothing was happening. I was just going to enjoy looking at some Christmas lights. Well, there wasn't really anything at the school, or really at the plaza, not too much, but I wanted to go into the residential area, So, yeah, but it was nighttime, and it was Christmas Eve, so I got dinged. And
you got a speeding ticket on Christmas Eve?
Yeah.
That's not a present.
Sure, that was... So to me, they're trying to emphasize, we should have this low speed all the time. I'm sorry. During the hours of or if there is night school, then indicate the night times that they're going to be there or something, but please, we also need to get through to our destination as well. And by everybody being considerate, and the kids too, they have to be alert. They got to be taught the Elmer rules, because I don't think they have any concept of that sometimes. They're relying too much on those pedestrian, what are they called? The guards.
Yes.
Direct.
The cross guards there.
The cross guards. But they have to also get the intelligence to know when to do it too.
My problem is the phones. I think kids are so distracted on their phones. I watch so many young teenagers just walking across the street staring at a phone, and I'm like, did you even watch the car that almost hit you? I don't know.
Somebody was walking very, very slowly, and I had to laugh because I saw the lady with her wheelchair with 2 bulging bags of empties coming along the sidewalk. But this one girl was walking very slowly, just looking at her thing. And the lady was still speeding on her wheelchair, electric wheelchair. And the lady had to stop just within about 3 feet of where the girl was.
Oh, my goodness. That could be such a tragedy, too.
But it just shows that you got to, especially at the intersections, have your 360, because I saw a sports car turn up the wrong way on Herb Street at Weber. Luckily, there are no cars coming over the hill. It was all blankaroo, but I yelled out to him, hey, and so anybody looking at their cell phone would have got that person maybe running into them because he went up the wrong way, right?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts in my driving experiences lately.
I appreciate that, Sue. And, I'm sorry about the Christmas Eve ticket. Oh, my gosh. But, I thank you, Sue, for calling in today. I got to go to commercial break before they stop letting me in this room.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you. All right, this is the Mike Farwell Show. I'm Justine Fraser, filling in just for today on 570 News Radio, Rogers TV.
I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I find it very, very easy to be true. I find myself alone.
Thank you, Marianne, for this suggestion. That is Johnny Cash's I Walk the Line. It is a bit uplifting. It is a bit inspiring. It's just a little slower than everything else suggested today, but that doesn't mean it's not uplifting. And also, I don't know if anyone calling in today with song suggestions realized she might be a little younger than Mike, and that's why you're suggesting those songs. But I did have fun, and I did appreciate it. You can give me the oldies, too, but I did appreciate that. I'm Justine Fraser, Mike's keeper, if you're listening, filling in today, sitting in the hot seat because I'm a lucky ducky. If you want to call in, you can. We have a couple minutes here, 519-570-2545. I got Mary on the line. Mary, how are you?
Is it Mary?
Hi, Mary. Can you hear me?
Oh, thank you so much for taking my call. Hey, I've been listening to this thing for at least 15 years.
Oh, well, that's amazing. I'm sorry that you're not talking to Farwell.
And I go on my exercise bike, and I got a feeling that I thought, what a nice weekend. And Mike's going to get a hockey season. And then I thought, oh, I think he's going to get married.
Yes, that seems to be the conspiracy that happened this weekend.
And Paul came up with that. I wouldn't blurt it out, but Paul did. And anyway, hey, you give that guy a raise. Now he's got another mouth to feed.
I think he was already feeding her.
Hey, come on. Come on with your coming on.
But yeah, come on with your coming on. What are you, Mike? We gave him the day off.
Well, did you pay him?
I don't know. I'm not in charge of that.
Oh, okay, my darling. You're doing a wonderful job, and I'm the number one.
Are you actually number one, Mary?
I am number one.
Are you? Okay, then I'm very happy to meet the number one on the list.
And I said to Mike, look, I'm getting older. I'm 82, and I think I'm not going to make it. Can I sell that spot?
What did he say?
I have to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should sell it because honestly, somebody called in to tell me they're like 63. I didn't really hear it. And I'm like, all right, he sounds like he would buy your spot.
Oh, yeah, but am I going to get the money? Or is your station?
No.
Anyway.
No, the station we got it, Mary.
Mike is a fantastic host. I've listened to Berkey. I loved him. I listened to another lady who passed away. I listened to Doyle. I listened to the other guy. I can't think of his name. He died. I forget what he had. But anyway, listen, I'm your number one listener.
That's amazing. Mary.
I love you. Love you.
Thank you so much for listening. I've actually only been producing this show for less than a year now. I was just a reporter before that. So I actually love hearing stories like this. It makes me want to do my job more. And I think that is all the time we have. I'm Justine Fraser, Mike's keeper, Mike's producer, filling in for the day. I hope you enjoyed listening. And if you did listen, thank you so much. This is the Mike Farwell Show. He will be back on Monday to hopefully answer some of these conspiracy theories that got thrown out at the end of the day here. I do think he maybe is doing that. I don't really want to speculate. I don't want, no, I'm not going to speculate. You can listen anytime from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Monday to Friday and, say hi to Mike when he's back in his chair and ask him why his hand is a little heavier next Monday. I will be back producing and giving you guys all the news that we can find. We appreciate all the support. Bye for now.